Hey everybody, welcome back. We are here for episode 30 of Small Business Talk with Jerry. I'm Jerry. Jordan is with us tonight, going to co-host, and James Stein is here tonight from AOS Home Solutions. Jordan, tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Yes, as you said, I'm Jordan Whitcomb. I am part of the front office with Small Business Referral Group, and I am part of the Wednesday chapter. I'm the co-host of the Wednesday chapter and have the privilege of having James in my group. So, yes, I'm very, thank you so much for having me on again.
Absolutely.
Into the revitalized studio.
Right,
so,
right.
Absolutely.
Honored to be on episode 30.
Episode
Had I
30.
known, I would have. I'm glad I brought the coasters.
It's massive.
Oh, look at this. This guy comes prepared. He brings us gifts. How cool is that? Small Business Talk with Jerry, laser engraved slate, the real deal.
Yeah,
Thank you,
geez.
James,
Okay,
very much.
yeah, I'm glad.
Love
Thank
the
you
gift.
so much. They're phenomenal.
Now it means more because it was the 30. Planned. I've watched every episode, 100%. So yeah, I'm James Stein with AOS Home Solutions. I am the primary sales representative, as well as the consultant, the sole consultant of AOS Home Solutions. So we specialize in home remodeling, home building, kind of you name it. We'll install a single window, we'll do a new house, so, and everything in between. So it's been a phenomenal experience for about 4 years since I've been there. The company is going on 8, almost 9 years old. So
A lot of growth.
it's been pretty close to exponential since I got there, and they did a phenomenal job at getting the kind of foundations correct. Thank God, because it doesn't always happen with the smaller companies. So,
Yep. Well, it's hard when you wear all the hats.
oh
You know,
yeah,
Yep.
you got 10 hats and one's a lawyer, and you're not a lawyer. You know,
Right.
that's that's been the real interesting one. So
Well, every hat has such an in-depth piece to it. I mean, marketing, that's a job all by itself. Sales, that's a job by itself. I mean, like I said, being a lawyer, all by its. I mean, all those things. I mean, there's just so much that you need to accomplish. I'm not going to say you need to know because you can't.
well,
But
and
you
you know,
have to accomplish.
it's crazy because I got there. You know, I went to Concordia up in Moorhead, Minnesota. So I did a Chinese linguistics and marketing double major. And my original plan was to go to China and work from there and make a gajillion dollars with IBM. And then I just chickened out and stayed here and went to Culligan and worked as a sales rep for Culligan
If you were there today, you might get stuck.
yeah.
You get tariffed home.
I saw this coming. It was all planned. I knew what was going to happen.
Right.
Predict the future. But no. I think we made the right decision. I started at Culligan. Sold water softeners. You know, in college I sold carpet. So I sold carpet, water softeners, water treatment systems, and then went to commercial at Culligan. Sold more commercial water treatment systems, and then I went from there. I got scouted to Marco Technologies, which is pretty much infrastructure for large businesses.
Oh, okay.
So if you need 60 computers, 20 copiers, and a phone infrastructure through Cisco, we were able to handle that along with web development and all sorts of things. So went from there to State Farm, Sue Madden State Farm here in town. And
You're like 100. What? When did you
Yeah, I was
do
just
all
about to
this?
ask, like,
I know.
how old are you again?
well, so we're 30. 9 years out of college as of May 1st. So yeah, it's been
And you
fun.
said you majored in Chinese. What did you say?
Chinese linguistics and marketing,
Wow.
double majors.
See, I've done a couple meetings with you and a handshake and hello, and you never told me.
There's
that.
a lot of things that I don't tell you, Jordan.
Yeah,
Is-
that is phenomenal.
I saved them for this
Yeah.
podcast.
That's
So it's the big
Jeepers.
30.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
Putting stuff close to the chest. Yeah, jeepers.
I'd be, like I said, professional
even order-
yapper. I'd be yapping for hours.
I couldn't even order like a whiskey Coke in China. I'd just have to point at something and go
Wow.
something close to that, and then
Yeah.
they'd be like, "Fat American, just give him something." That's
Oh,
all-
I mean,
that's
no,
all
they
I
did the
get.
same thing to me. It didn't matter. So, I mean, like, you know,
So, so if I can ask, like, what made you want to get into that? Because again, when I went into college, which we went around at the same time, like people were asking me, like, what are you going to major in? And
times.
for me, it was like, you know, I love sports, love business. Sure, this new major that every college is getting, sport management. I guess I'll do it. And how did you get into that major? Like, what? Because people do business, they do marketing, but that is something pretty special.
Well, and my sister did an international marketing and Chinese linguistics double major, and then she was the the lead of the Chinese program for quite some time, and then I took on the reins of the lead of the Chinese program. And how we got into all that was I took Spanish in middle school. My sister had gotten to high school; she's 2 years ahead of me, and I was like, Ruthie, the Spanish is just it's such a drag. It's just such a, I don't know, it's television. And year one of Spanish, you're just cheese grater to the forehead, learning the most basic words, and then it gets really hard really fast. And so by the end, I was just so upset with the whole situation because it was easy, and then very hard. And I was like, there's got to be something that's medium the whole time. And for some reason, God knows why, I chose Chinese. So Ruthie had.
That doesn't sound
it didn't make any sense. Don't worry about it. It didn't make any sense. Don't worry about it. But
So you know Mandarin?
yeah. So I mean, I'm 10 years deep, and then you lose some after college type of thing. So,
Sure.
but you can do the basics obviously, and then.
So, point being, if you went to China, you could order a Big Mac without pointing at the menu.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
All right. See that?
So how would you say that?
Much.
How would you, if you were at the counter, how would you order it? Like,
I mean, you can the Big Mac. So it depends on. So for when you get into like specific items,
yeah,
you can just use the word.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so like if you were to say,
I do
I
speak
want
Chinese.
a cheeseburger, what would you say?
现在我要吃那个 cheeseburger.
Dude, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That is sick.
And don't block me because I said nigga. It's N-E-G-E. You give me a break. It's part of the culture.
So, to be fair, I wasn't going to mention it. Just, but since you did, I did see, I did hear that. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to go well.
Don't censor it. I swear it's Chinese. Give me a break. So, anyways,
That's phenomenal.
yeah, you start getting into the multi-use. So
See, now this is the raw and unedited that we talk about.
It is. It's too late now.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're not. you're
Well,
gonna hear
it got pulled off the. How long did we last? 10 minutes.
Yeah,
10
it
minutes.
didn't make
Well,
it very far.
Yep.
It's
Already
good.
dipping into the umbrella policy.
been
Already
good.
getting sued.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where's that shovel?
Yeah.
Nice. So no, if you watch any of those videos or the shorts, that's like a common thinking word, and so they end
it's
up
phenomenal.
they'll do that over and over again, like that. It's this.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
that is awesome.
you'll just keep saying it over again. Yeah, the culture shock of hearing that first time was like, the what? And then you just go, oh, that makes perfect sense as an intermediate thinking word.
That's crazy.
So it's
So
called,
how much? So 10 years, 9 years out of college.
yeah.
How much have you lost?
I think
Could you go there and function?
Could I go there and function? Absolutely.
Okay.
Could I go there and get into any specific job outside of surface level talking? Probably not. So if
Okay.
you're talking about like computers, so it's like now is computer. Past that, you start getting into keyboard. Well, what about this key? Okay, all right. You lost terminology. The
Sure.
generals, the specific, if we're staying in generals, the weather, just general talking, general buying of things, yeah, I just keep wanting to use the same word because it's so, I'm like, I shouldn't start a sentence with that, but it's what it is. But like, you start ordering things and buying stuff. Yeah, it's all pretty up there in the brain.
Okay.
And then, like I said, as soon as you get into microphone, anything specific or hyper specific, then you start to lose me.
Okay.
Because there's only
Sure.
so much you
I
can
bet. Yeah.
retain.
It's just, I couldn't imagine.
Can you write?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
write most of it still.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah,
Seriously.
no,
that is super
It is.
cool.
We used to have foreign exchange students, quite a few in a row. And one of the exercises that the facility that or the people that facilitate the exchange,
Mm-hmm.
they give them a pad of sticky notes,
Sure.
Post-it notes, and they go around your house and like on microphone, they would write microphone in their language, stick it on a microphone.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Cabinet, refrigerator, faucet, So
Yeah.
you come home one day and your house it's like a cartoon. There's just Post-its on everything, but then you can go in and go, okay, whatever that word is, that means water bottle, and but
that's
it's
a
fun.
fantastic way to
right?
learn.
It's fun because you literally walk around the house, you're reading all these notes, and you're having your friends come over. It's like, oh, you got to see this. This is so cool.
It's actually a lot like so Concordia language villages. I don't know if you've heard of those.
Not heard
English.
Okay,
That's it.
don't worry about
I
it.
struggle with that.
Yeah, so
it's-
if you get into the language world, Minnesota actually has one of the largest language programs in the United States. It's Concordia Language Villages, and it's a full immersion. You'll get people across the country and sometimes across the world for these language programs, and I was a teacher there for a couple of years. But it was a lot of fun. In the summertime, you'd teach a bunch of kids. I did archery. I thought it was cool. So
Dude, you're just peeling back layer after layer, dude.
we're gonna have a fun 2 hours, bud.
Yeah, jeepers, dude.
So
Okay.
yeah, so
Archery.
So you throw an apple and then you shoot it, and all the kids go, it's the coolest thing of all time ever. But yeah, everything is labeled, like almost everything, and it's a fantastic learning technique. And then after was it a week and a half, 2 weeks, we took everything off. Oh. So then it was all right. You're on your own. Good luck. And if you speak English at any point, you can take this bead that you get if you didn't speak any English the entire day, and if it's called 中国通, it's like expert Chinese linguist. So you get these 中国通 beads, and you'd put them around your necklace, and you get your name tag has a necklace, so you add the beads, and the kids just like go crazy over these 中国通. And as soon as they say a word in English, they lose their bead, and we would have kids cry every day. It was. Wow. I mean, you feel bad, but you're like, gotcha.
Yeah. Well, like our fourth, or I think it was our fourth student, was Kazusa from Japan.
Sure.
Took all the fun out of it. She was a sweetheart. Love her to death. I mean, just what an awesome human being. But when we did that exercise, this was our, like I said, fourth or fifth student. So we were all excited for it. I never really thought about it. The culture, the Asian culture, is so different from, we had Germany, we had Sweden. Yep. We had two from Germany. We had a young girl from Finland that was with another friend of ours that came over, or would come over to our house. But we get home, and all these Post-it notes are up, and it's all the squiggles, the Japanese language. It's like...
squiggles.
Right? I mean, whatever you want to call I don't know. Again, that's the only English word I know to describe it. So it's all these... But it's, just all these little signs. Yep. And, German, I don't speak German, but I can sound it out.
Sure.
Swedish, Finnish, I can sound it out, but you get the Japanese little symbol, and it's like, I can't tell the difference from, faucet to water bottle to toilet. It all looked the same. It's just a little thing. And I felt so bad because Kazusa was so proud of herself of, doing the whole house up like all the kids were. And, before we were like calling our friends, we're going, they did the Post-it, you got to come over. And, we're all reading and doing this, and it was like an event. And then with this one, it's like, that's cool. Clip, clip, clip. Just next, and I felt so bad. But yeah, it was just, and she was just like, she's like, well, and she's telling us, but she literally had to walk us through and go through every one of them because we couldn't make heads or tails of it. It's not like you can sound it out. There's no letters. There's,
no, it's really tough. I mean,
different.
Learning the characters is really tough.
I bet.
Until you learn the pattern, because all of them are pattern based. So. Okay. If you're talking about people, and then you have essentially a people character that's attached to now another character, and you're like, okay, this has something to do. Roman numerals. It's like it has something to do with a person. You're like, and then that's water and people. Boom, shower. Move on with your life.
Sure.
But Chinese and Japanese, don't ever mix the two because the first thing you learn is kuzi. And for when you're trying to discern the two, because it's a very good example of what not to do. Because kudzu is pants, and kudzu in Japanese is toilet. And so you're just like, you could botch this really easily. And they're very close as far as characters. So
the characters are too, not just the word.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Awful. It's really tough. So Japanese has always been very difficult to learn. But the Concordia Language Villages, shout out to them. They have, 14-ish languages? I mean, there's everything from Japanese to Chinese to German and Swedish and all of them. And then we all get together on an international day. It's an international bazaar. And then we all show off kind of what we learned at our individual group. And I think what's really clever, whoever thought of it, good job on them. They're all named Forest by the Lake. In their own language.
Oh.
So Chinese is Senlin, and so you have Forest Lake. So they're all named Forest Lake in some capacity. So I thought it was clever. So
that is, that's very cool. We had Frankie was one of our students, and she was from Germany. Mm-hmm. Well, in Stewartville, the high school, they don't have a Spanish class; they have a German class, and it's same teacher. I don't know if he's still there, if he's retired now, but. And he was there when I was going to school. I mean, I graduated in '89, and he was teaching German when I was there. And so he calls me, and he's like, "What are we going to do with Frankie?" I'm like, I don't understand the question. What do you mean? What are we going to do with Frankie? She's a sweetheart. He goes, "Yeah, until you try to teach her German." He said, "You enrolled her in my German class." I'm like, "Well, she's German." And I thought that would be at least one easy grade because, let's face it, coming to another country, granted she speaks English, but it's a second language for her. Mm-hmm. She comes here and she has to participate. It's not a hobby. This isn't a fun thing. She actually has to pass the classes to graduate when she gets home. This is a year away from your family, away from your own country, away from your own language, your first language. I said, so I thought I'd try to get her an easy one. I thought, how awesome is that? She's German. You teach German? He goes, if she corrects me one more time, we're going to have an issue. I'm like, well, I said, Frankie is strong-willed, and we'll leave it at that, which I adore her for that. Her and I were like oil and water sometimes, but most of the time we got along because both of us a little more outspoken. And, and I'd have her back. And we would have so much fun together. But I told him, I said, okay, you're worried about being corrected. I get that. She's very intelligent. And she's German. German is her first language. So I'm going to say right now, if you say one thing and she says a different one, I'm with her.
Most of the time, yeah.
And I said, and then he's like, well, I just don't know that she's not messing with me. I'm like, yeah, you won't. That's awesome. I started thinking about that. And going, so when she comes home, I was like, okay, I had a talk with your German teacher. He does not speak German. I don't know what it is he's speaking. It sounds like German. He does not speak German, she says. And I was like, you got to lighten up on him a little bit. She said, you really think so? I said, no, me personally, not at all. I don't agree with this at all. But for your sake.
Just be nice.
Right. For your sake, play nice. That's exactly what I told her. I was like, for your sake, play nice. You still need the grade. And at the end of the day, he's the one that determines if you pass or fail. And she's like, yeah, I suppose. But now, Ebba came from Sweden. When she was here for her year, it really was like a hobby because when she went home, she didn't get any credit for it. Mm. So when she went home, she was literally now with the class behind her. So each country is a little different on how it works also. So, yeah, she didn't get to graduate with her graduating class. She was in school an extra year because of this. It was just a year off for her. Mm. But she had, she came here and took it seriously, and she did well. But, yeah.
Chinese was a very unique experience in high school specifically because our teacher, Gao Hong, who's still over there, she works at Carleton as the music teacher. And so she was doing hours as... I don't know the specifics as far as like that certification, but she is not a language teacher. She is a teacher of the language because she is Chinese. It's like a local fluent is essentially what it's under for. Somebody's
like a Chinese as a second language kind of scenario.
It's her primary, so she's just
right. But I mean that's how she would teach it.
Yeah. So her English was actually quite bad when we were there, but her Chinese is obviously phenomenal because she's local. Yeah. So when we came out of Chinese into college, I was testing out of the first level of Chinese quite quickly because her level of Chinese, what she taught to us, maintained such a high standard for all her students. She was like, either learn or get out. I don't have time for this. So,
that's awesome.
So anybody who stayed, and she would lose, 5 to 10 students out of 30 within the first month and a half because no one could keep up.
Yeah.
So if you kept up, you were so far ahead of the rest of the class and the rest of pretty much everyone learning. But yeah, falling behind, it was a death sentence. Yeah. It was really tough.
Have you visited China?
Several times.
Really?
Yeah.
When did you go and visit China?
So I went in high school, and then I went in college for 3 weeks, and it was a blast both times. I mean, in college we went for basically testing out, and it counted as credits, which was really cool. But Tao Ming took us there, and Tao Ming, who's over at Concordia, he's a businessman by trade, and then again he teaches Chinese because he's a nice person. I don't even know. Why are you here? It's one of those people that are way overqualified for their job, but they still like doing it.
Sure.
And those people are wonderful human beings.
Right. You still got to have peace. You still have to enjoy what you do.
Oh, yeah. So, he taught Chinese out of the goodness of his heart, basically. And so he's a very well-connected businessman in China, and he takes I'll call it high wealth individuals on tours and things like that. So he's very well connected. So he was taking us to 5-star restaurants through the back door and having us sit down with these massive, and I don't know how much you know about China and their eating
whatever I get from
etiquette.
fortune cookies.
But essentially, you have you'll have these massive tables that are essentially your oval table, but round, and then that's filled with food, like completely filled, and you're essentially turning the entire table while you're picking off food and choosing what you want to eat. So it's an incredible experience, and then it's a fraction of the cost because it's 7-1 for U.S. and China for.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it was really cool. It was a great experience, and then we got to go fishing in the middle of the ocean. He knows a fisherman, and the fisherman owns the rig now. He used to just be a boat, and now he owns like a in the middle of the ocean rig and does heavy farm fish. And so we got to pick a fish out of the farmed fish lot, and he's like, yeah, anyone you want, just pick one, we'll kill it. And we're like, the girls were fainting and screaming when and then the guys were like, oh, that's cool. So it's a great experience.
Yeah, that is really cool.
That's cool.
But
we should probably turn our attention a little bit to
business. Agreed.
Yeah, because I don't think I could survive on small Chinese talk with Jerry. I'm not sure I can make that fly.
Hey,
but it's going good so far.
Like I said, keep me the direction. Set the sail. I'll fill in the gaps with yapping.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I can keep James here, I think we could make it fly. But
Absolutely.
When you leave, we're gonna have to change the whole thing.
Your experiences in other countries. That's what the new title is.
Right. Well. I've never had a podcast that short. I can say that.
Oh,
that
would be quick. But
but now you've been with AOS. You said 4 years.
Yeah, going on 4. So this is the 4th year, coming up in like September. So
how did you meet up with Andrew and Kat? How did you get there?
Yeah. So I ran another business referral group. So a small business referral group, and it was great. We had several members. We had up to 13. I think we capped out at around 18. And then COVID hit and all of our core members left, which was the worst. Yeah. So when core members leave, it'd be like Jordan leaving and Doug leaving, and the rest of it just kind of semi falls apart because they're like the heart and soul of the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And,
thank you. Appreciate you.
And I mean, seriously, though, if you have the energy and spirit leave, it's like,
right.
All right, well, why are we showing up today? Okay, I guess we're talking business again. But no one has energy to be there or wants to be. Right. And so
COVID was tough on any kind of meeting, any kind of in-person meeting at all.
And we went to Zoom, and Zoom, people just didn't make it. And that was my first year at Marco, and so I was doing Marco while selling to big businesses. And for anyone that experienced COVID, and specifically in the technology industry, if you were with a rep, you doubled down on your rep that you had, good or bad, and bought more stuff from your rep.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But since I was a new rep, that was a tough year.
I bet it was.
Because I was calling people, and they said, my guy is kind of bad right now, but I want to get through this and then assess where we're at. Yeah. So that was my...
Well, nobody wanted to meet new people.
No one.
Nobody. I mean, that was... Even those of us that weren't necessarily afraid of COVID itself, I mean, I really didn't buy into... I'm gonna get crap for this, but I didn't buy into all the hype. I really didn't, But on the same token, you still had to be safe.
Yep.
And you still had to, and I was not one of those guys that if you were terrified of COVID, I was not. If you were terrified of COVID, I was respectful of you.
Oh, absolutely.
We've talked this over and over. I don't care what your view was of COVID, of politics, of whatever.
Just be respectful.
But be respectful.
All.
It's still your opinion. Whatever experiences you've had in your life have led you to believe what you believe. It's not my place to tell you you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not my place to be told I'm an idiot because I'm different than you, and vice versa. So it's like, even though I during COVID, we traveled, went to Jamaica. My daughter was married, or got married in Jamaica that year. We took 52 of us to Jamaica in November of 2020.
Oh, fun.
It was, and none of us got stranded, which I was really amazed by. I mean, that none of us got held there for COVID. But so my little homemade mask, that was going to protect me from all the evils of the world, was just a black mask with big white print said "Made in China."
Oh, cheapers.
I remember that.
Nice.
Oh my God! I mean, it was nobody was neutral. I mean, traveling through airports, being on the beach with a mask on, which was absolutely freaking ridiculous.
Everyone had very strong opinions.
Oh yeah, I mean,
very strong opinions.
Very strong opinions. There was no one was neutral on that. It was either high fives, and you know who gave you that because you're within 6 feet and touching someone.
Yeah.
You know, you either got high fives and laughs, or you almost got shot. It was one or the other. You know.
I think the world definitely changed. I think part of even the political separation is all COVID related.
Oh,
like it stems way back, but obviously it's But
well, COVID is my opinion on that. I don't know that COVID made us feel comfortable with shaming everyone. It was like all of a sudden it's like if you bought into COVID, it was perfectly fine for you to shame anyone who didn't. And it was just, on the news, in the schools, in our local government, our governor put out a hotline to turn in your neighbor, right? And we could go to churches and we could kick in doors at churches because they were holding a service.
Yeah.
That we could go harass kids on a playground because they were within 6 feet of each other.
I think it just separated the do what you're told people from the free thinker people.
Oh,
and then you had that dichotomy, and it was just anyways.
I just knew that I didn't want to end up on Spotted in Rochester on a video just because I wouldn't wear a mask to go get my Jimmy John sandwich. Like I still like to eat. I still like to go out and about. So if you're gonna make me mask up, cool. I'll wear the mask to go get my food.
Just let me
hang out. But once I get outside, nah, it ain't on. And once I'm in my car, it's not on. Sorry, that's how it is.
So anyways, I had the small business group. Good times. So I was pretty much the sole leader of that for almost 4 years straight. Kat and Andrew, AOS Home Solutions, and at the time AOS Carpentry. We changed our name once I was onboarded. They were in it for about 2, almost 3 at the time. And I knew Kat pretty well, and I had transitioned to Marco, and they were still in the group because we still had it running. And I transitioned over to Sue Madden State Farm, and I love Sue Madden. I love State Farm. I loved everything about it. My being loves sales. And like in person and going to houses, and like I liked what I used to do, which I just didn't like the management structure. And sure. I think there's a lot of people in that position where it's like they like their job, they just don't like the management structure. And no one in particular, maybe, but it's just like, hey, I don't like to be microed.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
So I'm a free spirit. So I essentially was in State Farm, and I was developing an application for realtors at the time to be like, hey, we could have a central location, basically a better version and more local version of an Angie's List. Mm-hmm. And I think we could market that locally and do a better job by like 1,000,000 times. Mm-hmm. Because Angie's List, you get so much crap spam, and you get so much crap service. So, and like they're the largest, and so they're good, but they're not good. Right. If that makes sense.
Brother, I shouldn't say we. Jordan didn't. I did. I came from a networking group that it's in 74 countries, has 340,000 members, and some of their rules are ridiculous.
Oh, it's just asinine.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was presenting this to Kat on just one sunny day, and I was like, hey, this is the plan. And I was like, can I apply this to contractors potentially? Then I can have a realtor one, I can have a contractor one, and I can have these. Anyways, I was going off the rails on that, and we got through the conversation. She's like, "That's all well and good, but how about you be a sales rep for us? That'd be kind of cool." And I was like, "Ha ha ha! How serious are you?" So we kicked it off from there, and they had never had a sales rep before, so it was a huge blue ocean for them for getting into that realm of another a hat to be taken off of Andrew, right? Because he did his own sales, he did his own building, and prior to me coming along, it was Andrew Circus. It was Andrew running and Andrew appointments and Andrew everything, and Kat kind of picking up the back end of marketing and the infrastructure, call it. So Kat was the pillar and Andrew was the head, and they were just going. Yep. And I wrote up my situation, what I preferred, and I was like, this is kind of how I would do it, and hopefully that's okay with you, because I have been in every sales style for pay as well as just structure that you can imagine, whether it's all commission and you're sweating, right? Whether it's base plus and you're like, okay, this is okay, but I'm also sweating,
Right. Right.
or just salary only. And I'm like, where's my motivation?
Right.
And this is weird because I'm arguing against myself, but if I'm salary only, I have almost no drive.
Right.
And that's what I learned.
I say it takes a special kind of person to go out and hump it every day the same way. It's
not for everyone.
It's not for everyone. That's
Nope.
right.
But so that's how I got introduced to AOS, and from there, I came in hot. I had a lot of big ideas, and God bless Andrew and Kat. They've been really open to those, and we changed the name. That was one of my core complaints. I went to must have been like 50, 60 appointments, and I was like, hey, I'm introducing us as AOS Carpentry. The only thing I ever hear is, do you guys do cabinets? I'm like, that's cabinetry.
Yeah.
I'm explaining what, carpentry is.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes just to get into the appointment.
Yeah. So if you can't hit it with a hammer, you guys don't do it. Is that what's going on?
Yeah,
here?
and they're like,
right.
well, so you don't do countertops then? It's like, okay, all right, we need to change this like ASAP.
Yeah.
So by December we were doing, doing business as DBA for AOS Home Solutions,
Sure.
and we thought about that for like a couple months before we changed.
It's a good name. Yeah, it's a good name.
Yeah. So built different, built better.
There's a lot of head scratchers out there. You look at business names, there's a lot of head scratchers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what were you thinking? And how quickly did you come up with this? You should have spent an extra 10 minutes.
Yeah,
you
Googled
had one
for
less coffee that morning, something.
Something.
Yeah. No, it's a good name. I do like it.
Yeah. So it encompasses pretty much everything, and it's still my problem in the industry, which is, what do you guys do? And it's like, anything home related that you can think of. Yep. And I had this literally happen with Cody. He's one of the leads for the Mayo Clinic expansion. So I just signed on his deck, and it's great. And he's the lead estimator over there. And on the back of our card, we made that change too. So we have the list of a good chunk of services just to see the breadth that we cover. Right. And it's not even everything.
Sure.
And he's like, I went back out to get the signature, and I see a gutter guy there. And I was like, we do gutters, right? And he's like, it's on the back of your card, isn't it? We're like, yep. He's like, that's my fault. That's my fault. And we'll just move forward from there. Yeah. He's like, I'm probably gonna sign with this guy because he's really cool. But
there's so many layers.
There's so many layers.
Marketing.
It's so many layers to a house. It's so many layers to marketing.
Right.
There's nothing that I can put out that's general enough that gets people thinking.
Right.
So if I put it out too general that we do everything, people are just gonna whoop right over the head.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't even hit them. I mean, it's like insurance. Mm-hmm. If you're like, I insure pretty much anything, they're like, and it goes whoop.
Yeah.
And then
they don't
check.
even know half of what the insurance types are. Anyway.
And then they'll check online because they're like, I need to insure my trailer, and they'll go to like State Farm, and you're at Allstate, and they're like, why didn't you just come to me? I'm your insurance. Oh, I didn't know you did trailers. And you're like,
I asked my neighbor's got a trailer. I asked him where he goes, and so I went to his guy. It's like there's some kind of
exactly.
Right. It's something like that. Some kind of piece, that top of mind thing. Yeah. Whether like my neighbor has one, well, my dad had insurance on his trailer. It's like, dude.
And I no longer take it for granted. It's not even common sense. It's like business knowledge, I guess. Because if you're in the industry, you know that. Okay, there's probably some layers. So like Jerry does, the printing, and you can do multiple things, Jerry, which is awesome. But the depth of that, where does it stop?
Right.
Because I'm going, you do business cards.
We just had that conversation. You're like, give me a price sheet. And I felt silly because I'm rebranding Design HQ a bit. Mm-hmm. And so I'm in the infant stages of that and starting over. And he's like, just give me a price sheet on the stuff you do. I'm like, but dude, we do so much.
Exactly.
What do you want? But he had to give me, I had James explain, what do you want? He goes, well, I've got this new plumber. And he kind of told me the backstory. And he's like, this is what we need to get him started. So I made a 2-page price sheet,
perfect.
Just to get started. But it's like, how do you sell? Well, whatever else you need, ask me.
Yeah.
It's like that. I don't, at that point, that's terrible for me to say that to you.
Oh,
but at the end of the day, it's like,
it's so hard.
Yeah. If you decide you need a 3 foot by 6 foot banner, you want a 2 foot by 8 foot banner, call me. Yep. If I can't do it, I'll get you to someone that can. I know,
yep.
that kind of thing. But yeah, whatever you need, let me know. But that's not the way to sell things.
It's not it. You have to market it piece by piece.
You do.
And you have to just keep repeating until everyone understands that you do this breadth of work. And it's something in sales that I have not quite overcome as far as how am I supposed to market an everything product.
Right.
It's so hard. And you're having the same experience.
Yeah,
so at least I'm not alone on that front.
Well, and since we started the splitting up the podcast and trying to do some shorts and reels, which is new in the last week and a half, literally. Mm-hmm. I mean, we just started this in the last 10 days. But now my idea, which you kind of led me into, I was thinking of you when we started doing these reels. It's like, if I did, like the first reel I did was just 4 or 5 still pictures of the new podcast studio after I got all the walls up. And it put music to it and it kind of flashes through them. And that was my first reel that went up. So I'm thinking for Design HQ, I should take a picture of like some banners that I've done. Mm-hmm. And then set it to music and do that as one reel. Then a bunch of hats that I've done, different companies, bunch of shirts, business cards, door hangers, all the things that we do, mm-hmm. and just one by one take pictures of and go back through my photo library.
Oh yeah.
And then just make them so they're all grouped together, and then do a few where it's got a picture of some hats and some shirts and some all the different things together, as a kind of a collage. But I thought maybe that's a way to get that out there.
It's certainly one way. And like I said early before we even started, was like I brought up to Andrew, I was like, do we even have a YouTube? I'm like, do we even have a channel? And he's like, nope. We never got that far. They have, Snapchat.
We're going to have a podcast to put on it.
Well, they have, Snapchat with avid followers. They have, a very good presence on Facebook. We're pretty much everywhere with Spotted in Rochester and a bunch of other ones. Mm-hmm. If somebody says, hey, do you know a landscaper? Usually we're tagged, or our landscaper is, depending on what it is. And hey, do you know anybody that can do an addition? We usually have like 15, 20 people that are all past clients. It's really cool that just go, AOS does a great job.
Yep.
And it's such a, we get so much business from there. It's fantastic. And, the other day I was at the Rochester Moms. We got a lead from Rochester Moms. I guess that's a Facebook group. Who knew? I'm not in it. I wasn't invited.
Just be careful what you Google.
Are you a mom?
No.
I'm just saying. Google would be a terrible place. Just be careful what you Google.
So
I think there's a reason why you weren't in that.
Yeah, that's probably right. There's a reason. Fair enough. But no, we got a lead from that. And I was like, awesome. I'm glad to be here. Glad you found us through that. Fantastic. So you never know where you're going to get a lead from.
Well, that's one of my biggest struggles at time, or mental struggles when I'm searching Facebook and someone says, who's a good insurance guy? Well, I can tag Jordan because he's on there, mm-hmm. But so many times they'll be asking for something specific, and they go to tag someone and you can't tag them because they're not in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so now that's become a thing as we're putting out these reels and shorts and things for the podcast. It's like, guys, you have a podcast on here. You should follow me so that I can tag you when we put the stuff out there. So, but it's new. We've just started the podcast, here in the last, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that. It hasn't been very long.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason we don't have a ton of followers yet. We're working towards that, but that was one thing I mentioned on our Tuesday meeting at Small Business Referral Group. It's like, guys, follow me.
Yeah.
We're going to put your podcast out there. We're going to do shorts and reels. Let me tag you so that you and your friends can see it.
Yeah. Well, and your situation is starting out a lot like working out, which is you have to just do the thing first. You can't worry about the algorithm. And technically, if you use Instagram to film your thing, your algorithm has a better chance of being in front of people. And if you're using Facebook Shorts, you should individually make them on their respective platforms because they have preference toward their own. And that's great.
Yep.
Like, that's awesome. But you are in the stage of, I need things on, just get it on there.
Content.
Just put it on there. Don't worry about the logistics. Don't worry about the specifics. Send it and get better incrementally.
Yep.
And I mean, it's the same thing for working out. Just get to the gym and then worry about the, creatine and muscle fiber crap later. Dude, step one, just get there. It's so hard.
Make it a habit.
Yeah, the habit forming is important. And you can always tweak later. I mean,
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. That's right where we're at. We're just to get the content out there and, bring in good people like yourself. Bring in good people. Jordan, co-hosting. Keep it interesting and make sure that people don't get bored 2 minutes into it. Do what you can to talk about going to China and
Yeah, okay.
you know,
if that's the bar, we're gonna have a little bit of a problem.
But I mean, how cool! We brought you on to talk about AOS, and our first 17 minutes, you know, we talk about Chinese language, and I mean, I thought it was very interesting. Right? It's awesome.
Yeah, you never know where you're gonna go.
No,
It's
and that's one thing that I don't ever want to stifle that as the host of this podcast, because it's like we're all people, and I do want to share your experiences. My favorite question. You've been doing this for 4 years with AOS.
Yeah.
So, and this doesn't necessarily have to be an AOS answer.
Sure.
But this is one of my favorite questions is there's got to be something that you thought at the time, this is the next big thing. This is it. This is going to take us, you know, to the next level. And now years later, you kind of look back at it going, what was I thinking? You know, a little humility to the podcast. Everybody's got one of those stories that just something that didn't turn out. Yeah, something that just didn't turn out the way you thought it was going to.
I think Marco would be a really good example of that. Okay. AOS, I would say it's not even a gamble. I just was like this. I have a lot of confidence.
Sure.
So what was again really nice? Kat and Andrew, possibly the best. No, 100% the best owners and management I've ever had.
Good.
Because they actually listen.
People.
It's such, you know, they don't do 100% of what I say. I don't own the dang thing.
Right.
But like they're open to, and I don't get reprimanded for ideas.
Yeah. Whereas
I've been reprimanded and called insubordinate for ideas. And that's a real thing. It's ridiculous. It's been an incredible experience on that side of things. But as far as the business goes, I think Marco is probably the best example.
What was Marco again?
Marco, it's a technologies company. Okay. So copiers, printers,
big scale.
That laptops. You created?
No, God, okay. No, they're a multi.
Oh, so
are they
that you
$1 billion?
Just worked for? That you just worked for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was their sales rep in Rochester. Okay. They had one other sales rep, but.
And you thought that was going to be the next thing in.
Okay, I thought it was hot shit. Okay, so here is it. So I went from Culligan Residential to Culligan Commercial to Scouted. I know. I was like, oh, baby. So I got Scouted. And I was like, I'm officially hot shit if I'm getting Scouted.
That's right.
Getting poached to come on their sales team.
And then God sent me the humbling of COVID for my first year because I got too full myself is what happened.
So COVID was your fault.
It's 100%. 100%.
James's fault.
That's right. All of you made in James.
I am living in the Matrix, and that was the humble slap is what that was. And it was an opportunity for a ton of people. For me, it was both an opportunity and very difficult. So since COVID hit, my wife at the time was going, hey, I don't like my job as a core tech, and I kind of like it, but I'm not making enough, and I don't like it enough, right? And she's always wanted to do surgery, like actual surgery. And so I was like, well, it's effing COVID. Go ahead and get your degree. We all have to sit home. Right. This is like possibly the best time for you to just go do homework.
Right.
And come out on the other side better in the medical world, which is what she did. She buckled down for, a year and a smidge and then got her surgical first assist certifications. And now she's doing phenomenal at St. Mary's. So, and she just got first surgical first assist. It doesn't exactly have promotions. It's like a sideways transition, but she's always wanted to do plastics. So like facial reconstruction, and it's not all fun. There's a lot of grimy things, but also it's plastics, so making people look better.
Sure.
And so she just got a transition over to that. It's awesome. Wow. But my slap in the face was I thought I was gonna just crush. I thought I was gonna get in there, make $400K my first year. I was like, oh, let's go. This is going to be the easiest cakewalks, of all time. Yep. Selling to businesses who need this. I loved, and I still do, the theory behind copiers. I know you're like, what the hell?
Where are we going here?
Yeah, so you have 4-year contracts on pretty much every copier that ever existed. And so all you have to do is track down the contract, go, here's my new contract, it's going to undercut that contract and call it a day. And you're like, it's a better product, it costs less, and we do a better job.
And technology is always...
And it's always improving.
Tomorrow it's going to be better than what they had today.
Yeah, and they have a 4-year-old rental, basically, and so we're updating with a new one. It was, sharp, and Konica, and you just start falling asleep while
Sure.
I'm talking about it. But so I know, Jordan, but you're yawned early.
I'm just
We brought you for energy.
But
Yeah, I'm just absorbing it.
so when you have these 4 years rotating contracts, so it should be a shoe-in, right? You just find them, offer lower, move, sign, done.
Collect for 4 years.
And the government doesn't give a potato salad, so you just approach Stewartville or whatever and say, hey, your government contract with the other places coming up, you want to shoot it for ours? Try that. Did you have any issues with yours? How was your experience? Obviously you have to do the sales
still
portion.
Got to sell. Yeah, you still got to
But
sell.
I thought it was going to be just a cakewalk, and I was sold the sales process as a cakewalk, and it was anything but a cakewalk, especially when COVID hit. Yeah. So that was my situation. But on the complete opposite end, starting at Sioux Madden State Farm as a rep, and then moving over to AOS as a rep, which when I was doing math, they started very similar. But I was like, well, my potential at AOS is so much greater.
Sure.
Because I'm like, well, if I'm starting the same, but one has the potential for growth, like actual growth, and I can see it. Oh yeah, this is going to be fun. I just have to work my ass off, which I've been doing. Right. And Jordan's sad that I wake up at 5 a.m. So.
I mean, we've talked about getting up early and not, you got to get up at 7 sometimes and set your alarm. But I mean, like, that's criminal. 5, like, I'm sorry.
Dude, I'll do 3 a.m. days if I'm swamped.
Okay, like I would get up at that time. Like, if someone was like, hey, the only time I have to buy in that home policy is 3 o'clock in the morning, of course I'm up. But, like, for quoting people,
dude, Fridays,
that can wait till
my alarm rings at 5:20 is when my alarm goes off.
Too early.
Now, if you want to talk Jordan's language, you just tell him it's a basketball tournament starting at 6:15.
All right.
And you got to be there to ref. The kid won't argue a bit.
I'm
up.
I'll ref at midnight. That's true.
I just have so much. It's not even guilt. It's just the sense of responsibility for getting out stuff in a reasonable time. And I know that the industry has such a crap reputation. Construction has probably one of the worst reputations for responsiveness that I've ever seen in my life.
Well, show me another, and not picking on you guys.
Sure.
I know you guys are a good company, but show me another industry where you can drop $700,000 building a house, and the house gets built the day that you're told to move in. You walk in, it's like, there's no trim here. Oh yeah, we'll get that. And then 3 months later, you're calling going, there's no trim here. Oh yeah, no, we'll get that. And it's like, can we get our garage windows? Oh yeah, that's on the list. That's going to get done.
It's crazy. The bar is subterranean. I mean, it's
almost to the core of the earth.
I mean,
but how many projects do you get called on where you have to finish for somebody?
Yeah, and that's what's actually hyper frustrating for me, because it probably happens at this rate. 3-4 years in now, I get for this year alone, I've had 3 phone calls of, hey, you were out last year, you quoted us on a deck, we had somebody else do it, it turned out awful, but can you take a look at our bathroom? I'm like, that's great.
You
sorry
feel
to hear
bad for the people, but it's great for you. I mean,
well, kinda. I mean,
I get frustrated with that.
I just am sad. I just feel bad. I'm sure Jordan feels the same.
Yeah, like I'll have somebody that will reach out to me after.
You guys are good people. You're way better than me. I'm just like, well, they learned their lesson, and now I'll take care of them.
It's the loss of opportunity for me, because it's like I'll have somebody that comes back to me and they go, yeah, I went through an auto claim, or my agent said that they had certain coverages on my car and didn't have those coverages.
Yeah, it's
been an absolute nightmare, and I should have been with you. I'm just like, I have to hold my tongue, because I just literally want to be like, hard. Well, that's what you get.
Yeah. Do you want to scold? You want to scold them, but also take care of them.
It's just like, it's so frustrating, But you move on.
I'll give you an example in my world. What happened just last week? I have a older couple, excuse me, and he doesn't drive anymore, so she drives. Take their car in. They come to us because it has a couple issues. And they weren't happy with the people they just had it to. Now, they weren't customers of mine in the first place, so it wasn't really a lost opportunity for me, because they weren't my customer.
Yep.
But I don't remember what the connection was. It was a neighbor or a son-in-law or something that said, go see Jerry.
Yep.
But we get underneath this car, and it's a 2009. We get underneath of it. It has new control arms in it. It has 4 new struts in it. I mean, you're talking about, from start to finish, a couple other things that were in there. But they had about a $3,200 bill a week ago.
Sure.
Now they bring it back to me, and they're like, well, I said, so this thing riding terrible? No, we took it in because it was overheating.
Oh.
Okay, what did they do about the overheating? They put a thermostat in it. Okay, so you went in and got a $200 thermostat, $3,000 worth of other things that they sold you on, and now you have a puddle in your driveway or your garage. And he's like, yeah, and yesterday it started overheating again. Well, of course, it was low on coolant. They put a thermostat in, they filled up with coolant, didn't overheat until it got low on coolant. They didn't fix the bypass pipe that was actually the problem in the first place. Now, did it need a thermostat? I'm going to say no, but I don't know that, because obviously all I'm looking at now with a brand new one in it that works fine. But this bypass pipe is leaking. That needed to be fixed. It was literally a $12 gasket and about an hour's worth of labor. I mean, I charged them less than $200 from start to finish with coolant and everything to get this thing done. And of course, now they say they're my customer, and they're super sweet couples. I believe them; they're going to be with us. But that's very frustrating for me because I'm like, you literally went out of your way to sell these people $3,000 worth of maintenance type items. That the control arm's not maintenance, but the struts, they weren't complaining about the ride. They didn't have any steering issues. It was overheating, and you sent them out with the same problem they came in with after they spent $3,200.
Yeah,
that's just taking advantage of somebody.
I did this the other day for my presentation with Jordan and SBRG, which is here's other people's estimates, not even their quality of work, but here's other people's estimates, and you're starting with just a paragraph blob that a lawyer would never approve, and you're signing the bottom of a paragraph blob that says finishing basement. Like, have fun with that.
Replace roof.
Like,
for $30,000.
Have fun.
Just give me the check.
Yeah.
What a crapshoot that is. And so, like, when I came into this industry,
that's like getting a contract from your painter saying we're going to make the wall blue.
Oh yeah.
Oh, just blue. All right. Yeah, that's
paint
great.
wall blue. $5,000.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Sign here.
So like Culligan had, I'll call it a middle grade amount of information for clients. You have your install included with the product, so it's kind of a lump sum, but they're all very standardized. You're not getting scammed in one direction or another. It's not the sleaze bag, like I'll do $200 off if you buy today. Like I liked Culligan for not promoting that type of sale, which there are people that do.
Oh yeah.
And then and then I went from there into a very a multi-million dollar company, hundreds of millions of dollar company, Marco, which is so hyper detailed and structured because they have to be for other large businesses, that everything is accounted for down to the ink cartridge that was put in there. You can itemize pretty much every single piece of plastic in that thing. And then you go from that to State Farm, and a lot like Allstate, where they itemize everything. But the only thing I didn't like about it's insurance, and probably Jordan doesn't like it either, and nobody honestly does, which is it's ambiguous. It's, hey, where'd my rate come from? And nobody on this planet, outside of maybe the guy that made the frickin' program for it, can tell you exactly where your rate came from. Okay. It is the most frustrating experience, and so I didn't like that aspect of insurance because I don't like questions I can't answer or get an answer. I don't mind not knowing things. I don't like not being able to find an answer. That
but in sales, when you're selling things, right? Even service, but when you're selling things, most of us grew up on or have learned in the business that it's cost plus, right? I mean, that's your basis. So it's like, if I'm going to sell you this water bottle, I can't sell it. How do I come up with a price to sell it? If I got to know how much it costs to make, how much does it cost to ship to me? What is it landed at my door?
Yep.
If I have that number, now I can add a percentage to it. I can create a matrix.
Shipping charge,
whatever it is.
Tariffs.
But now I can, tariffs. This is my 3% Trump charge. Whatever. Call it what you want. I don't care. Right. It makes the world go round. But you do that, and you come back. Now it's a cost plus. If you're a service-based industry, right? You still got to look at, well, I'm renting a building, or I bought a building, I've got a mortgage, I've got a rent, I've got insurance, I've got employees, there's cost. So even though the service isn't a product, it still has a cost. So we have a cost plus. How do we mark that up? How do we put a ratio to that? When you talk about insurance, it's like, where's that cost? Well, we had hail damage last year, widespread in our area. That's going to make rates go up. Yeah. It's like,
So yeah,
you know, you have
The
there's
potential
rationale
for
to it.
hurricanes went up. We might have to raise your rate.
so the
Yeah,
thing,
it's a tough
so the
industry.
thing,
It's a tough
like
industry
if
to justify that.
yeah, like
Yeah,
and if
it's
I
so
if I
hard.
sold insurance in like Florida or California, it'd be probably a completely different ball game
sure.
and how I thought about things. In Minnesota, it's pretty standard. I have discovered that the way that I enjoy doing sales and why it really doesn't matter who you sell for. It's all about people.
Right.
It's all about
Correct.
who you meet. It's all about building the like literally. It's just who you meet, have a good connection with. They don't even care if they pay more because they like you.
And provide a
And-
good service.
Yeah. So that's for me has
It's-
been what I've been successful
when the phone
with.
rings,
Yeah.
answer it.
Answer
I mean, right?
it.
You know, you
Exactly.
got to be there for
No.
it.
Oh, that bar is low thing. Answering the phone.
Answer the phone.
Construction, if anyone's ever done construction, knows that if they've called 5 contractors, they may have been called back by 2.
Right.
And that's the ratio that it takes to get anything done. Because 3 of those people just auto disqualify or just go, oh, I'm already working currently on a job. I'm fine.
Don't worry about the hopper being full. I'm busy today.
I'm busy today. I'm
Yep.
fine. And so, yeah, the industry is so bizarre. You know, on one of those estimates that I showed, it was, we can start work next week. I red flag that immediately. There is not a company like that is very reputable that can do a next week install. Like, you have to have a funnel. There's no magical next weeker unless you're subbing out everything.
Or you're going to come and drop off a load of sand in the driveway,
And you started.
and start it, and then I'll see you in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
or 3 weeks. I mean, that happens all
So
the time.
Yeah.
and I have 2 things. I totally agree with you on that because when I'm dealing with claims with certain people that they don't do construction, but maybe they do restoration or they do cleaning or something
sure.
like that. It's 100% all about picking up the phone, and I've had frustrations where you don't pick up the phone or the company will charge someone for all the labor to dry out their drywall and carpet when it's a fan plugged in.
Yeah.
There's no labor there.
At
I understand
$200
there's-
an hour.
Yeah, I know there's a cost to the fan being
Right,
there, but
of
there's no
course.
cost for somebody sitting there and monitoring that. You know, just things like that. Like you said, oh, I can be out there next week. No, you're going to drop something off, or you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
But the second point I was going to make was just about the sales thing, about how each one of us has a reason why we sell the thing we sell.
Right.
And you enjoy the process of how you sell. You enjoy the process of what you sell. I enjoy the process of what I sell.
Yep.
And I think that's the important part. Is
And they're
just
all
like
flawed. I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Everything we do, there's flaws there.
Yeah.
And you and I can sit and pick on Jordan about insurance, but then Jordan and I can pick.
Oh,
you know,
no,
you
don't
guys
get
pick
me
on-
started
right.
on mine. I'll bash mine all
Oh,
day.
right. I mean, we all
Like,
have,
no.
yeah.
same here.
It's,
same here.
it's so hard.
So I
You
don't
know.
want to come across as something negative when we're
No,
talking
no, no.
about
Oh,
the
no.
cost plus.
No.
It's just, but like I said, for me, I sell a product and a labor both. You know, when
Yep.
you're fixing cars, using that business as an example.
Well, and we haven't even delved into, as far as a small business goes, raising the cost so you can afford a person like to help you with the situation. I mean,
No.
I need an
Well-
additional staff. Where do you immediately do a 20% raise or increase because you have to get an extra
I'm gonna-
staff? How are you doing it?
So I'm gonna. The 3 of us in this room, all 3 of us are salesmen. I mean, that's what we do. That's
To
who
the
we
core.
are. Right, to the core. Right. So I'm going to say something now that's going to make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and the salesman listening to this may shut us off. But bear with me. I promise you, it's worth the finish. When you're in sales, you look at so now you have Andrew, and I'll pick on him, and I don't know Andrew that well. What I know of him, I like, and
Sure.
I've known Kat since
I'll
she was.
correct you immediately. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Well, I've known Kat since she was 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Her and my daughter were good friends when they were kids. But when you're in sales and then you're working with like Andrew, okay, like you said, Andrew is wearing all the hats and he is the guy that swings the hammer. Okay, I have my guy Darwin is my partner at Broadway Car Care. He turns the wrench, right? So to get the guys that are actually doing the work, okay, because you're valuable, I'm valuable, right? Salespeople. The sales don't happen without us. But when you're talking to the guys that are breaking their knuckles doing the work, they don't always see it that way.
They go, why am I paying you
Right, because
when you did nothing?
Right, because you're going to talk to somebody. You're going to throw out some prices. You're going to spend a little time on the computer. You're going to schmooze a customer. You're going to be nice, and you're going to answer the phone. You're going to call them back. You're going to be responsive, and then you're going to hand it off to me. I have to do all the work. You don't. If we don't bill a single moment of your time. And like in the automotive industry, that's a big thing because you've got service writers, and you have to have a service manager, and you have all these pieces that when it comes down to it, only the guy turning the wrench is billing time.
Yeah.
And so now you got to play. So are salesmen worth it? That's the age old question, right?
It's a struggle.
It's a struggle to.
I'll tell you what.
To get some people to understand that.
My answer to that has always been let me go see you, as in Andrew or the service tech, in action. Let me see how you would sell this.
Returning the phone call, answering the phone.
And the answer is they are, Andrew, I love you, bad at it. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
And it's bad to the client because the communication isn't the right style.
Right.
So usually they're high tech. Anybody that's a mechanic, they're usually low personality, and no offense to them, not all of them.
Right.
But they're usually, monotone. They like to just work. They just like to be hands-on.
Yep.
They're not doing
Cars
fluctuation.
don't talk back.
Conversations are intimidating for them.
Yeah,
like having
conversations are
to
intimidating.
strike up conversations and analyze people's
And
desires and objectives.
Oh, and they go
and
technical.
motivations.
They go technical immediately.
Correct.
And so
It's
my first day,
way over the head. But now with your customer, when you go over their head, that's. I mean, I'll use my gun shop as an example. You go to most gun shops, and mostly these yahoos behind the counter. They come out with their chest out because they know everything. They know they're the expert, and they immediately start talking over your head on purpose to intimidate you. That's not how you treat a customer.
That's not how you treat
That's not
clients.
how you get in someone's good graces. That's not how you build rapport.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
and some of them know that they're doing that. And then there's people like Andrew that's just a technical person and he doesn't know how else to explain it. And so my sales tactic, and it doesn't work for everybody, is to bring it into layman's terms.
Yep.
And I will purposefully throw myself under the bus to look kind of silly when I'm going, the overhang bit.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to hear cantilever.
Right.
You're like, what the hell is a cantilever?
Yep.
And Andrew's first sales meeting with me, because I was like,
Is
Andrew,
that
I
like
want
a
to see your
dry
style.
wine, or is that a sweet wine?
Yeah, right. My first meeting with him.
Red or white.
Yeah,
We
it's
went
like a
out
red
to-
or white cantilever. Whatever goes with chicken.
Yeah, whatever goes. I'm having steak tonight, but but our first sales call was him just, and you can just see the client, and he just isn't
It's
quite
losing.
aware.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
lose 'em.
glazing. And everyone who's a sales rep has ever seen a client just start glazing over. You've lost. It's gone.
And
it's
and the worker bees, even though they're the ones making all the money, they're the ones really generating the revenue. They don't recognize that for the most part. It's just not their thing. Now, to play devil's advocate a little bit, let's say Andrew's the unicorn, right? He's the guy that can sell. He can do your job as well as you do it, and then he can go swing the hammer. Okay, those guys are out there. They're not a lot of them.
Yeah.
But those unicorns are out there. So let's say Andrew's that guy.
Andrew
So-
can do my job at 80%.
Well, that's pretty good.
And that's really good.
That's really good.
He has
yeah.
he has a real fundamental connection with almost everyone. He's a very easy person to like, and that's why I
He
do
is.
really love
I don't
Andrew.
know him very well, but I do like him.
And he's very easy to talk to, very agreeable personality. So he's a wonderful human being,
But
and so he can do
going
my
with-
job at 80%.
Yeah, so-
that last 20 is what takes to.
Right. But
boost.
even so, at 80%, you could survive.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
he was doing fine.
Right. But to play devil's advocate, let's say you are that unicorn, you're that 80%, you are Andrew. Every minute that he spends selling, he's not swinging a hammer. Mm-hmm. And let's go back to what makes the money. Where's the revenue generated?
Yep.
Swinging the hammer.
Yep.
So if you can have James doing 100% instead of 80, and you've got Andrew doing 100% on swinging a hammer, I mean, and that's the message that some entrepreneurs, they just don't get.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Well, and
it's
what's
a struggle
really
to get them to understand it.
and talking about percentages, I mean, that's one of the core parts that's really hard in our industry is that we'll find people that can do, because we do everything right. So we don't just do windows, we don't just do doors, blah, blah, blah. We do all of it. And so when we're talking about our staff and their competency level, it's not that they're incompetent, it's that they're not skilled enough in all of it. It's
everything.
hard. It's otherwise people just own their own business because they can do it all. So it's like whatever that was. So you'll have staff that are 60, 70%. And you have to have your foreman on there that knows 85% just to keep people moving.
Yep.
But, Andrew can finish a deck by himself in like 3 days, but it takes a staff of 4 days. Like, that's tough. I mean, it's really tough.
The kiss of death in a lot of cases is efficiency.
Yeah.
There's no question. And you could be a great guy and a terrible carpenter. Well, then we shouldn't have you being a carpenter. I mean, but how many companies too do you see they'll take their best carpenter and make him their worst sales guy?
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
I mean,
or the vice versa, where
or
you take
vice versa.
your best. You know, Riley's a fantastic example. Installed flooring for years in our group with Hillers, and then went to sales, and he's a phenomenal salesman. Just because he's just really calm, and sometimes calm people are just who you need as a sales rep. And so Riley's fantastically, relatable and just
Sure. I don't
laid
know
back.
Riley.
He's not a pushy guy, so he's just there to listen and goes, this
just
is
smooth,
just smooth.
level, just level.
I know Rob speaks very highly of him, and Rob's been a friend of mine.
Yeah.
His boss, Rob Amundsen, he's been a friend of mine for years.
Yeah, those installers that turn to sales that are good, dangerous.
Yeah.
Those
Oh,
are
yeah.
dangerous.
Oh yeah, when you can keep your composure all the time.
Yeah.
That's the unicorn in sales.
Yeah.
Because most of us are a little edgy. I mean, you're just kind of like, you just want to keep moving. You just you're aggressive, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, you're ambitious.
No.
And with that comes a little bit, you get a little aggressive sometimes, but you want it. I mean, let's be honest. How many sales guys would say what you said earlier? 3 a.m. I'm not doing it. Oh, there's a sale to be made? All right, I'm there. Most guys are just like, you can wait till 8. I mean, the same opportunity is going to be there at 8 o'clock.
That's what I'm saying. I have a price. I have a carrot that you can offer me.
Right.
It's enough. If there's enough incentive there, for sure. Like,
right.
Like
But
I
I'm
said,
saying
I'll grind no matter what, dude. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, if I can beat the bar, so I always measure based on the bar. So if I can get, if the standard of the industry is that it takes 2 weeks to get an estimate, I'll do it in 1.
Yep.
If it's a small enough estimate and I can do it in a day, I'll do it.
Yep.
And everybody else took a week.
Yep.
If I can beat the bar, if I can be responsive, because I know what the bar is on the industry. So it's really easy to measure. Whereas some of those, like the high profile sales, the Marco sales,
Yep.
everyone's at a high bar.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And
right.
it's almost it's not impossible, but it's really hard.
But I would
to break
say
the bar.
that's not a normal mindset. I would say that people do sales well and have that aggressive, like, just, at all costs get a sale, or not at all costs, meaning
No.
like ethically.
Right,
I mean,
ethically,
like,
right.
just work your butt
But-
off. We're not normal people, right? We
Right.
all have some type of tick in our brain.
Oh yeah,
that's just-
and most of them are realtors.
Call it what it is.
Like, let's be
Call
honest.
it what it is. It's a defect.
Yeah,
Call it what it
no,
is.
we all.
Oh yeah, I'm
it's just-
damaged
it's-
goods
Yeah.
all day, baby.
Amen.
I use the prime example of like the best athletes that have ever lived, or like the best actors or
Psychos.
musicians. They're weird people.
Oh, they're
You talk to them
absolute
on a personal level like this,
Watching
they
Elon
don't
Musk,
operate normally.
Watch a podcast with Elon Musk on it. And I revere that guy huge.
Yeah.
But he is an odd duck.
Yes.
I mean, brilliant. And the guy's literally making a difference in the world.
Yeah.
On multiple levels. But he's a weirdo.
It's almost like their
he's-
brain in like their drive to either be really good at their sport or like really good as an entrepreneur or a scientist or whatever. Like they're so good at all that
Yeah.
that their brain function is just too focused on those that
I can't
like
even-
normal interactions are just not or like normal everyday things are just kind of a struggle because they're so focused on those things.
But how many of us can hyper focus on something? When I think I'm hyper focused, I feel like it. That's my version of hyper focused. Then
Well, and how long can you maintain it?
Right. You look at Kobe Bryant, you look at someone like Michael Jordan, I mean, these guys, it's like when I think I'm hyper focused, these guys are having lunch, and they're thinking more about the tuna sandwich they're eating than I am on trying to make a living. It's just, it's crazy what's out there. And like I said, you look at a guy like Elon Musk, the guy is literally changing the world. But when you listen to him, it's like he's hard to relate to. He's not, it's easier to relate to, Robin Williams, when he was alive doing an interview, it's like, I can relate to that guy. You feel like you can, and,
Yeah. Well, and
so-
I think it comes down to personality because, you thought you knew Robin Williams and then you have the incident. And you're like,
Right.
oh, my bad.
Right.
I thought you were literally the happiest person on planet. And I misjudged didn't see that coming.
But we all felt the same way.
Oh, yeah.
We all felt like we knew the guy, even.
Yeah.
So this came up talking with another business owner that's going to be doing a podcast here in the next few weeks.
Sure.
I told her, I said, we were talking about image. And same thing I asked you. I said, what can't we talk about? Right? Because the point of this podcast is not to make you uncomfortable. It's quite the opposite. And so I used the analogy. I said, I don't watch a ton of TV, but I like Big Bang Theory. Right? So have you guys watched that?
solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you watch that show for episode after episode, season after season. Also, you kind of feel like you know Penny, you know Sheldon, right? You know Leonard. You get that
Yeah, they're as good
connection.
as friends. I
Right.
mean,
Now, what are the chances I'm going to meet any of them? It could happen, but it's not likely. If I do meet them, it's going to be at some event or show where I might get a high five or a fist bump, and they're not even going to see me, but we're definitely not going to become friends. We're not going to go have lunch, right? You're not going to make a relationship. So the podcast, well, back up. When you see Sheldon, I don't even know his real name, Jim Parsons, you see him on like a talk show. Okay, he's not Sheldon, right?
Not even close.
You feel like you know the character. You meet him or watch him on a television, like a
makes a good actor.
right, and he's a great actor. But now you see the actor, and you're a little disappointed because he's not that he's a bad person, but he's not the character, right?
Yeah.
So with the podcast, when we bring James Stein, Jordan Whitcomb onto the podcast, you guys aren't actors. These aren't characters. This is who you are. On the second point of we're probably never going to meet Jim Parsons. Sheldon, we're not going to go pal around with the guy. You guys are in business. You're local. This podcast is here to help market you. We want people to go, hey, I want them to get to know Jordan. I want them to get to know James going, when they need a deck, when they need insurance going, I've watched 3 episodes with Jordan co-hosting. He seems like a decent guy. I want to reach out. There's nothing stopping our listeners who are going to be locals from meeting you guys. They're not going to be disappointed when they meet you because the people you are on the podcast are the people you are. Mm-hmm. So the same person, if they like you in the podcast, they're going to like you in person. And so that was kind of because she was kind of nervous. She's like, I really want to do the podcast. I think it looks fun. I'm just nervous. I can you give me a list of questions so I'm prepared?
A lot of people have those objections.
Oh,
they do.
no.
And so it's like, and that's where I was thinking about this going, people aren't going to be, there's no reason to have that as an objection because no one is going to be disappointed when they meet you. If they liked you in the podcast, they're going to like you in person.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see where some people are going to just be wary of, like, what if I say the wrong thing, or if I stutter, or if I say if I say something politically incorrect or whatever, and so forth.
Get us canceled.
And it's, hey, minute, 10 or whatever
Chinese.
it was, that's not my fault. All right.
Minute 5. Cut it. We're done.
That might have to edit. Oh, well.
Oh, no.
It's staying. All right.
She's staying.
That's
She's
right.
staying.
Nope.
We'll see how long it makes. But
We're clipping it, actually. It's going to be on a reel. It's going to be on a reel, actually.
I would guarantee you.
That's unfortunate.
But I will edit the closed captioning, though, because I'm assuming it may pick
for
it up
sure.
wrong.
Closed
Okay,
captioning
okay.
will be, but
just spell it right and you're fine. If you spell the captioning
you're going to have to
right-
text me that, so
I'll
I make sure it's right when we're done here.
Yeah. It's a tough life knowing Chinese.
So
but
what about AOS?
Yeah.
We circle back here.
Sure.
What's your favorite part? What makes it okay when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. to just get up and go to work and do this?
that's a fantastic question.
Well, I'm the host.
You are the host. That is true.
That was elite.
I will
Way
say
to just reel it in.
top to your question. Whether I'm so Friday
I take the
specifically.
compliments when I get them. I'm just saying I got to relish it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I heavy sense of responsibility for just again meeting and beating the bar. I think it's just so crazy what people have to experience in the industry, and so I just make it an absolute mission, just dead set on doing better.
Awesome.
Just do better.
That's a great answer. I mean, that's
Which, based on your description of the bar, is not hard.
It's
as long
not
as you just
hard.
show up and apply yourself, but
it's
you're
also,
going above and beyond.
Dude,
so,
it's be above and beyond
No.
and be better. I wish the industry didn't. I'm glad the industry sucks as much as it is because it makes my life easy.
Absolutely.
But I wish it was better.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with it.
well. The hard part is automotive service.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world. That's you. People when they don't know you. This is why, in all honesty, this was why we don't advertise anymore. Because I'm not real excited to bring in strangers who found an ad or, they don't know me or they don't have there's no rapport. Because nobody walks in the door of an auto shop going, this is going to be great. Nobody does. First off, your car doesn't work for some reason. There's something
Sure.
you got to send.
You're starting at a negative.
Right.
Yep.
Always.
It's like going to the doctor's office.
Yep. And so, that's always a struggle where now when we don't advertise, when someone new comes in, I always ask them, how'd you hear about us? Because we don't advertise, but we've been around 21 years. So all of a sudden it's like, well, I know Jordan Whitcomb and he said there's just no other place to go.
Yep.
That makes me feel good.
The word of mouth special is so nice.
And I have instant rapport with that person because they trust Jordan. Jordan trusts me.
Yep.
And that's what makes it insurance. It's no different. I mean, why do you like referrals?
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Well, they're easy.
Well, I'm the first to. I mean, I unabashedly will name drop when I'm doing a sale if I think that person knows one of my other clients.
Sure.
And it happened today. And Mayo Clinic is. I mean, it's just too easy. But like, hey, do you know this person? I just, we're doing their deck this summer, XYZ. And they're like, oh yeah, I actually work like literally hand in hand with that person in the either surgery or with the expansion,
right.
Whatever it is. And so, but they go, it's that much more relatable. They just feel a little bit more, the walls come down a little bit better.
And somewhere in the next 48 hours, your name's coming up.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I hope it does.
Yeah, right. I mean, and you hope it does, right?
Yeah,
that's the difference between what we do and what we want to do.
And for specifically construction, sometimes the the answer is, well, it was a little rocky, but they did a phenomenal job in the end.
Yeah,
that's construction. I mean, in a nutshell. And I hope it's the happy ending portion because they can be catastrophes otherwise. And I've seen everything in between, and I've seen local large companies fail miserably and not pick it up. And I'm like, guys, you advertise everywhere. Why did this go so horribly wrong? And you're not staying accountable for it. Like,
well, I'll tell you, some of my best customers, after being in that auto shop for 21 years, some of my best customers preface this with, we're all human. Mm-hmm. We make mistakes.
Happens.
Right? It happens.
Not Jordan.
Yeah, except Jordan. Except Jordan.
Yep. Insurance.
But I mean, some of my absolute best, most loyal clients are people that we screwed up. At some point, we made a mistake that initially cost them money, cost them an extra day without their car, something. It inconvenienced them one way or the other. And of course, if we had left it at that, I couldn't say, these are my most loyal, best customers I've ever had. No, you fix it.
Yep.
And the number one thing about when you screw something up, and you're going to, if you're in business, if you care, if you're going that extra mile, you're going to goof something up at some point, misdiagnose something, whatever. I mean, something's going to happen. If you follow through with that client, not only fix it, but take responsibility. Own it. Let them know this was my fault.
Yep.
This was my guy's fault. Whatever. And at the end of the day, if Darwin screwed it up, that's me, right? Yep. I mean, I have signed on with him, so when I make a mistake, he owns it. When he makes a mistake, I own it. We trust each other, and we know those mistakes are few and far between. But when they happen, we don't point the finger at the other guy. It's like, I may tell them this is how it happened, but it's my responsibility. And when you own it and then you take care of it, those are some of the best clients that you'll ever have because they know you're human.
And I mean, on top of that, I mean, huge credit to Kat and Andrew. I mean, that's why I'm sticking around as long as I am. And, as long as they stay as true to themselves and true to the company ethics as they have, and, if we make a mistake, they make it right. They're the first ones to eat it. And it's not always the best. And they ask me occasionally, hey, is this one we should eat? Was this, it was our fault, but, there's a borderline, obviously, where people should be understanding that things happen, right? Yeah. There's that. But they're the first ones to go, hey, I think this is our fault. We're gonna take this one on the chin and move forward. Yep. And we're not gonna dock you. We're not gonna dock our guys. We're just gonna take it and move on. Yep. And sometimes that's the best policy because I've been at companies where that is not the policy, and they will be the first ones to blame the client. And you're like, why is it the client's fault? Well, their plumbing was the one in the way. And it's like, don't blame them. Just fix it.
Yeah,
just
fix it.
Just fix it. Just make it right. The thing broke. It was a lemon. Just fix it.
So there's some that popped into my head just about thinking about sales and like what we do. Like and just listening to you guys talk about the issues you guys run into. How many hiccups in a day do you guys think you run into in your jobs? Because it seems like I always hear of so many things that you guys have to deal with when it comes to either a client or someone else doing
level of hiccup?
Right. I was going to say,
because hiccup to me could been
explain.
I missed a faucet.
Oh no, not your hiccup. Like a hiccup with your client, either something went wrong with the estimate, or something went wrong with a contractor, or went wrong with someone doing the work, or something you encounter in the industry, or something like that.
Does when are you starting? I'm getting a little irritated. Count as a hiccup. Does that count as a hiccup?
You got to deal with it.
It's something that I have to deal with.
No. So not client. Maybe I'm not phrasing it right. Not client objections. Just
you want true error.
I want where you're something's starting to blow up and you got to fix it.
Okay, so I'll give you an example today.
Okay.
This started yesterday. We have a gentleman, good customer, been coming to us forever. Axle seal's leaking on an avalanche. Well, the inside of the front differential's coming apart. It's got a little noise. Okay, so we're gonna take care of this. So it needs a differential. So I look up a rebuilt differential installed, a sudden done's about $2,000. I'm like, this thing's got 170,000 miles on it. If I put a rebuilt differential with a lifetime warranty in it, that lifetime is likely to be the next 3 years or less. Right. So I call around for a used one, see if I can find a good used one. I find 3 of them, 108,000 miles, 113,000 miles, 120,000 miles. So I got 3 of them. They're all the exact same price, what it's going to cost me. I give him the job. I said, I can do this with these used ones for about $900. So, less than half. And he's like, I said, they only come with a 30-day part warranty, but we'll look at it before we put it in and just make sure, that everything looks good. And I said, we can get in there for $900. It's got 170,000 miles in this thing. I can go either way, lifetime warranty, 30-day warranty, but big difference in price. And he's like, yeah, I don't know how much life this thing has got left, but I got to have it fixed. So I'm going to drive it. It's still worth fixing.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, so let me call the yards, because I'm looking online. All the yards now, there's a car part website for used parts. So I told him, I got to call and verify they're there, because junkyards technology doesn't go hand in hand. He's like, okay. So yesterday I call, and at local junkyard, I said they had 2 of the 3 that I was looking at. He goes, yeah, I got to go and put my hands on them because our computer system's not awesome. I'm like, I'm aware. So I'll call you back. And this is at 10 o'clock yesterday morning. I'll call you back after lunch. About 3:45 yesterday, I call him. I'm like, hey, I haven't heard back from you yet. I'm trying not to be I'm trying to be a pest. But it's like, it's almost 4 o'clock. You said after lunch. Yeah, it's busy here. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I'm like, okay. So I wait. At about 11 o'clock this morning, I call again. I'm like, not trying to be a pest, but you told me you were going to call me after lunch yesterday. I kind of feel like this is on you, not on me. Do we have differentials or not? Well, the one of the 108,000 miles that you want, the first choice, yeah, can't find it anywhere. Must have sold it and just didn't get taken off the website. And the one with the 120,000, the other one they had, he said, I got over there, it's got yellow marker on it, it's got 220,000 on it. And I'm like, You didn't think you should call me with that? Well, I didn't figure you'd want either one of them. Well, I can't have the one because you don't have it. The other one's got 220,000 miles on it. So unless you're going to give it to me, yeah, I don't want it. But you didn't call me. You didn't tell me. Right? So then I call on the 113,000, a different salvage yard, and they're in Wisconsin. I call them. He's like, yeah, we can get this thing out. We'll have it there. We can have it drop it off on Monday. We're in Rochester on Monday, blah, blah, blah. And he said, you guys got a welder there? Yeah, I got a welder. Why? Well, everything's great on this thing, but the case of the housing's cracked, so you'll want to weld it. I'm like, it's a cast iron housing. We're not welding that. Well, so you don't want it then? No, I don't want it.
Pass.
Yeah, and he's like, and then I hang up, and so this I should have had it ordered and on the way yesterday. So here I am now. We're after lunch now. It's like 1:30 in the afternoon. I just don't even have a line on one now that I like. Everything else I saw in there had 150,000 plus on it. The guy with the welded or the cracked case calls me and says, about an hour later, he calls and says, hey, did you guys find a differential yet? I'm like, not one that I like. I said, I'm thinking I'm going to try to talk the customer into buying the remand, the rebuilt one, guys, which I don't want him to spend that kind of money, but I don't trust a 150 plus thousand mile differential. Yours went south at 160, 170. So he's like, well, I got one in. He said, it just came across my desk. I'm going to have to put it in the computer. It's only got 84,000 miles on it. Another 200. He goes, it should be another $350. I'll just add 275 to it. You can have it.
Nice.
Right. But now I got to call my customer and go, okay, I had 3 choices yesterday. I told you it's a day later. And I called him yesterday when I went home, before I went home, and said, this is where I'm at. I'm waiting. So I'm in the hurry up and wait mode. So I did tell my customer. So I'm keeping the lines of communication open. So I called back and said, we're down to 2 choices. I said, add $275 to the $900. We're at $1,175 now instead of $900. but it's only got 84,000 miles on it. I feel pretty good about that. We'll still look it over when it gets here. Or we go to the remand. It's 1890 something, by $2,000 by the time we tax it. And he goes, that's all it's out there. I'm like, well, everything else over 150,000 miles. It's about the same money I quoted you yesterday when I thought I could get it for 108,000. I'm not comfortable with that. If you want it, you're in charge. But I'm your guy. Mm-hmm. I'm not recommending it. So he did give us the 270, the okay on the 275. I ordered that one. It's coming. But that should have been a 10-minute, 6-minute phone call. It turned into 2 days and 25, 30 minutes of my time.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's
that weekly or daily.
I was going to answer your question.
That big of a thing is probably weekly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll answer it in the positive. We'll have this as a positive. For every one problem or even 3 that we have, we probably mitigated 100.
So my whole point.
I kid you not.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So for every
statement.
1 or 2 pretty decent sized problems, we mitigated so many more than you'll ever see in a project.
Yeah.
You'll never even know you'll never even know that they were a problem. And on our end, we're flashing red lights and fixing on our end.
Yep.
And you'll never know.
Yep.
And on the actual ones that you end up getting told about, it's usually because something got delivered and it was damaged or broken.
Yeah.
How often does that happen? Where it's something was a true problem where I have to be like, hey, Jordan, just want to let you know this is the situation. Here's where we're at.
No.
Once project, at least.
So
and it's inevitable, and it's on. You're like, well, where's the core problem?
No.
It could have. I'll give you the last 3 main ones. Permits went through, inspection didn't pass twice in a row. Happens, and then the guy fixed it, but the inspector didn't catch one of the problems that was already there, so that was his fault. So he came, inspected, told us to fix something. We fixed it. Saw a different thing on the reinspect, and then had us fix that separately.
Yeah, which he should have told you about.
And it should have been the first
inspection.
go around. So we got mad there. Second problem, we had material delivered. Our supplier is phenomenal. KBS, shout out to them. ABC, shout out to them. They all do a phenomenal job. But their warehouses, their suppliers, because they give us like Moisture Shield or Trex, for example. We get it through them. But Trex and Moisture Shield go through another person in the cities. Mm-hmm. That warehouse didn't batten down the hatches for the delivery, and so they took it off with a forklift, and it all fell. Oh. And it's no one's fault that we can control at all. And then we had the same delivered to the client's house, not the damaged goods, but we had the same one delivered to the client's house. It didn't have any spacers, so all the material was scratched. Did we fix it? Did we charge anything? Absolutely not. And absolutely we fixed it. Sure. It's like we're not going to give you damaged goods, and we'll return this thing as many times as we have to until it's fixed. Mm-hmm. But every project there's at least one that's unavoidable when no one saw it coming. No. And the last but not least, we had windows ordered in January that we thought were ordered. And everyone thought it was ordered. And we have confirmations that it was ordered. And in March, we said, hey, where are our windows? How are they doing? And he went 16 weeks out. And we're like, what do you mean? Yeah. And so every day is a new challenge, and every problem is its own problem. I mean, it's usually not even because we caused it. It was.
Right? So my point in asking that question, I have a couple things.
Sure.
Do you guys find that it's not something you enjoy in the moment, but it's something that with those hiccups and those issues, somehow, some way, you kind of enjoy them?
We twist it to a positive, and we go to our client. We say, this is why you hired us, so that you don't have to deal with this. We are. You feel like you are. Mm-hmm. You are not dealing with this. We are dealing with this. So this is why you hired us. We turn it to a positive. Do I revel in it and enjoy it? Absolutely not. And I wish every project went smooth. Please.
Okay. Same here for you?
Same for me.
Okay.
Monday, we had a newer Buick in, needed struts. And so, of course, we ordered the strut. Now, it's a newer Buick. It's for a body shop that we use, or that uses us. So going to like O'Reilly's, they do a great job in town. And we buy a fair amount from them. But they're not stocking this stuff yet. It's too new. But they have it in the warehouse. So, of course, we got to get it for the next day. So this was on Friday, actually, it came in. Monday, struts show up. Great. throw them out to the guys. They put up in the air. It's about a 4.5 hour install, so a couple hours to get them out. We get them out, grab the first one, put it up. It's like, oh, left side, because they're left and right in the fronts. Put it in, grab the next one, another left. It's like, wait a minute. So Darwin, of course, he's like, I got 2 lefts. I'm like, dude, that thing's hanging on the hoist till tomorrow, because they're not in town. Nobody had these in town. Even the dealers didn't have them. So I go back and look, and the part number is the part number. It's 1 2 3 4 5 L, 1 2 3 4 5 R. That's how the left and right are in that particular brand. And I look at the box. It's an L. It's an R.
We've had that happen too, where it's labeled all correctly, and then you open it, it's wrong. And you never know that. It's no one's fault.
Right. But now, but the car's apart, and of course, we told the body shop they'd have it this afternoon, Monday afternoon, to work on. So they booked off, part of Tuesday to work on it. Now I got to call them and go, yeah, your customer's not getting this tomorrow afternoon because you're not working on it tomorrow, because we need to work on it tomorrow. And of course, they're in the same boat we are. They're like, what happened? So I tell him, and he's like, you got to be kidding me. Or last week I had same kind of scenario. We had a mass airflow sensor for a Nissan. Nissans are not Hondas and Toyotas. The parts, they're a smaller company. The parts aren't as common. You have to order a lot of stuff for them. We order it. It takes a day to get in. We get it. And now, fortunately, this is a 5-minute install, so we didn't back us up that way, but I waited a day for the part. We grab the part, pull it out of the box, it's used. So someone had returned it. Somebody had put it in a car and returned it. Now, did it work? No idea. Because I'm not going to, if that was your Nissan, I'm not going to put a used part in your car, because I don't know was it a mechanic that didn't want to diagnose it, threw a part at it, that didn't fix it, put it back in the box and returned it. Is it the defective one? Is it the old one they took off? I have no idea. It didn't look new. I mean, it didn't look like it was a new part that was put on and taken back off. It looked like it had been in a car for a while. It was dirty.
Yep.
So it's like, is this thing not going to work when it gets up to 80 degrees? Is it not going to work when you're at 60 miles an hour? I don't know. We're not even going to try. But now I'm calling my customer going, hey, you called me last week, made the appointment, I ordered your part. Because we'd already looked at the car before, diagnosed it. And I said, I got to order the part. So he took it. He said, because I can't bring it back. I said, I'll have the part tomorrow. I can't bring it back tomorrow. I'll bring it in next week. Well, the part shows up in a new box. And now my fault, I didn't open it and inspect it. So now that part sat there on my shelf for like 3 or 4 days over the weekend. And now a customer comes in. Now we take it out of the box. It's like, I had 4 days. I could have, if I'd have seen that. But again,
and when you just never know. And
so those things happen.
Menards is the contractor's best frenemy there ever was. I mean, they have so much material, but they are so bad at certain things. And so whenever my client's like, I really want this door, and I'm like, crap. Well, it's readily available at Menards, or we can wait 4 weeks through my supplier.
Yeah.
So we order the door, and it's there, and they're pulling it off the shelf with the forklift, and the forklift goes through the door.
Yeah.
And we're like, you're fucking kidding me, because then they're out of stock now.
Right.
So then they order one, and it's scratched, and you're like, well, shit. And you return that one, and now we're longer than if I had just ordered it through my supplier.
Right.
It's like,
but you're trying to do the right thing.
And you tried.
Yeah, and
that's all you could do.
Little things like that. That's a daily thing.
Oh, that's all. Yeah.
So, all in all, my point being is that what I enjoy about my sales is that I don't have to depend on anybody else in selling what I sell.
Yep.
I don't have to coordinate anything. I quote it, give it to you in 5 minutes. You say yay or nay, and we go with it. And that's what I absolutely love about financial services is it's so, and then you are getting, you build up that book, and it's like
set it and forget it, bud.
The only time that I have to deal with a crisis is during a claim, which doesn't really take much. I just call someone and it gets done. Rarely do I really meet anybody that's, it's just, that's what I love about my sales.
Sure.
And we were just talking about being efficient with your sales and efficient with how you set things up, and that's what I enjoy about my sales.
So
I was making that point. So.
I loved insurance sales.
Yeah.
The process was phenomenal because it's a set it and forget it, and then all you're doing is just helping in their time of need. Oh, it's
really easy.
Yeah, you're just the one that's there to help. It's great.
Uh-huh.
But the thing that I didn't like is at least my potential for growth personally without taking the huge dive to open your own agency.
Yep, that's an investment.
And you're like, do I want to blow 50 grand, plus? You could throw 150 grand at it. You could throw infinite.
Depending on the book you want to purchase or get started,
don't
or
even get
which
started
company you're with, or
on
whatever.
Books. And that's a whole different ballgame for buying books.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're starting from scratch, like raw new, oh my God. Because everyone has insurance. So now you're trying to rip it away from other people, and you're like...
But that's the thing, too, is that, talking about the bar being so low, there's not a lot of people that are available all the time in financial services. It's one of those deals where you call me between 9 to 5, and if not, then don't call me. And for me, I'm available anytime. So that's I've had such a competitive edge doing that or replying so quickly that people are like, oh, I'm just going to go with you. This service is amazing.
Yep.
And that's for me is like, if you were to open your own shop or whatever, it would be rough for the first couple months, like starting that. But as long as you're able to get with the right company, be competitive, and be able to offer something of that service that a lot of people don't get, but yeah, that was my whole point in that, was just like the efficiency of like your sales. Listening to you guys talk about all these things that you have to coordinate and get the wrong box and the wrong product, and a forklift goes through a door, and making sure that goes on time. And I'm like, it just kind of makes, but it's like certain people are made for certain different types of sales and different positions.
So I am not made for that coordination, by the way. I happen to do it on occasion when it hits the fan. But fortunately, we have basically a project manager, project head, which is typically Bert, and he's usually handling that. If you view our entire process, I am at the peak of a head, and the wake of things is behind it. I am usually here. Everybody else is handling all the things as it goes backwards for timelines and scheduling and hiccups and so on and so forth.
And a lot of it, too, that you got to remember, it's risk management. It's risk versus reward. How much do you want to make? What do you want to do? How much do you want to make, and how long do you want it to take to get there? That's really, at the end of the day, where do you want to be?
Well, and the education for that is so hard. And it was, I commend Kat and Andrew. They just went to a huge seminar, I think it was in Arizona. And just to learn at what point do you focus on what? Because there's so many aspects of a business. And right now in that, call it the 1 to 5 million range, they're sitting on the, hey, we need to duplicate us. So we need people in the places that we would normally do a whole job, and we can't take care of everything ourselves anymore. So we need to, if we need the hat for sales, went to James. The hat for coordinating went to Bert. The hat for office staff, we're hiring an office staff. So we're doing all the duplication phase before we do the replication phase, which is adding a second team, the whole thing.
Well, And one of the hardest parts, like especially doing this podcast now, I sit across from salespeople, I sit across from entrepreneurs every time we do this. And of course, Small Business Referral Group, that's what it's all about. And of course, a lot of people, we don't sit down and go, well, my business grossed this last year. This is how much I made last year. We don't talk like that, right? So then you sit in a room and with an entrepreneur, and you mention a issue you're having, or you just mention a scenario, and right away, even if you're not looking for advice, that's what you get, right?
It just happens.
It just happens. And it's and it's always done with the best intentions. But you got to kind of look at it sometimes going, okay, I appreciate that, but I've been doing this about 14 times longer than you have. I've had, and the other side of it is we don't talk about how much we make. So you kind of look at it going, I understand that in your business where you grossed 250 grand last year, that worked. Okay. We grossed that last month.
Yep.
Doesn't work here, but sometimes my advice to you isn't going to work either because, I'm, like I said,
different industry, different types. Yeah.
But then on that same point, different everything. But what we do, I don't think I'm exaggerating. I'm going to say 65%, 70% of what we do, it's all the same. We're still all small business owners. So it has a different twist, the different industries, the different clientele, the different sales tactics. But at the end of the day,
same building blocks.
Right. Answer the phone, right? Call them back. Don't build a $700,000
ignore the
house.
Basics.
Yeah,
but a lot of people do.
And they ignore the basics.
Yeah, don't build a $700,000 house in 2 months and then take 6 months to put the trim up. You know, I mean,
exactly.
Right, those kinds of things. So it's like at the end of the day, the basic building blocks, the foundation of what we do, it's the same for all of us. Mm-hmm. It really is. And you don't want to be rude when getting advice when it may not be what you need, you know. But and then try not to be the guy that's always giving advice whether you were asked for it or not. Mm-hmm. And I struggle with that. I'll be the first one to say I want to help everybody. Now, am I prepared to help everybody? Do I have the knowledge, the experience to help everybody? Of course not. None of us do. But I feel like I do. And that's a struggle sometimes, just to be, put it out there and be like, one of my guys at work, we always pick on him because no matter what you say to him, you know what you should do. And so we always pick on him a lot. And we're like, whenever Darwin will say something, he's like, this sucks. And I'm like, you know what you should do? And then we all turn our heads and look, and he's just like,
get him the t-shirt.
Get him the t-shirt. Right. Get him the shirt.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and Kat and I started a small business consulting, a business on the side. And like I said, our first client, for the most part, is this plumber. And what we focused on is, hey, we have different plans that you can do. You can do monthly for just, hey, business advice, nonstop, whenever you need a call. Hey, I don't know how to do QuickBooks. What do you use for financials? What do you use for tax guy? And especially focusing on Rochester and local, because that's our bread and butter. We know everyone here. We know if we don't know, Jerry probably knows, and Jerry's probably willing to tell us, which is very nice of you. But we know a lot of people, and it's nice to have contacts.
Well,
but
SBR Group.
Yep, SBR Group.
I could not have put the team together that we put together, and to get it off and running as fast as it has. I'm not any smarter than I was 20 years ago, right? I mean, we have what we have to work with, and that's what you've got. Now, I have more experience than I had 20 years ago, but the key to making SBR work, the network I have today is so much bigger than it was 20 years ago. And that's exactly it. Do you know a guy? Do you know a gal? Do you know somebody?
Yep.
Yeah, I know somebody.
But it's back to the fundamentals portion. I mean, what we're doing with these small businesses that we're meeting is just getting into the fundamentals. Do you have consistency across your brand? Do you have your Facebook and your socials up? Like, you should be posting at least once a week just to get the consistency. Have a pulse on the business, so that everyone, whenever somebody goes and looks, it's not 2022. That was the last time are they dead? Oh, no, they're still alive. Oh, thank God.
When we sit and we talk about things, this guy right here, we'll be talking about a business or something, and next thing you know, he'll they haven't posted anything in 8 months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? We were talking about their social media. We were talking about them. He goes, I don't care. This is their face. And he's absolutely right. But he'll point that out every time. He's like, or he'll come back going, damn, look at this. And he'll show us how awesome their website, or how many posts they have on Facebook, how many followers, how many likes and shares they get. And but it's very seldom like, it's all right. It's either, wow, these guys suck, or holy, look at these guys.
Or they know what they're doing.
Right.
Pick one.
There's very, very few of us that are in the middle. We're either terrible at it, or you're making a splash.
So right now with that plumber, we're doing basically a 90-day crash course, and making everything from the ground up. And we're doing it on his behalf, and basically educating and then handing over. Yep. Implementing, educating, handing over.
That's great.
And that's kind of our 90-day crash course. I mean, that's focusing on the bit of business fundamentals. He has QuickBooks. Does he know how to use it to what it should be used? Nope. So
I have an iPhone. I make phone calls. I text and take pictures. Play on Facebook.
Exactly. It's like you're using a computer and just using it for, I don't even know, cat videos, I guess.
Right.
That you have all of the knowledge. You have all of the knowledge in your hand, and you're looking at cat videos. Okay. Yeah. Well, is what it is.
So I had something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Kind of in our last thing, depending on how long we're going.
Keep
but
up.
I want to come 6 hours,
James,
baby.
Yeah, I want James to come back on at some other
point.
We want to. This is so much to learn.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up here pretty quick. So,
but I wanted to ask, because he highlighted it in our meeting on Wednesday, about you designing the software that your company uses now, correct?
Sure.
And I wanted you to explain that and kind of give a little bit of for the viewers, for your first introduction video or podcast, explain how that, kind of a little how you do that, because I think that's fascinating. Most people don't come into a job and then help them design some software to help their job.
So
in English.
Yeah.
Exuberant.
Yeah, right, exactly. So Yeah, all of them are a little bit different. What I've noticed across multiple industries from wherever I've gone, you need an ECRM system of some sort.
Explain.
Calm down.
Yes.
So ECRM, you're essentially a customer resource management system. You need places to put name, address, phone, and email. You need a place for pictures if you're doing cars. You need to have a document center for where their crap goes. And you need to be able to pull that 2-3 years from now when they call you back and say, hey, you remember that project? And you're like, yeah, oh yeah, the deck. Yeah, nope, that's, how is it? Yep. You need somewhere to do that. If you can't put notes there, and if you can't make bids from there, it's not a one size fit all. Mm-hmm. And so when I was coming into AOS Home Solutions, we were looking at, all right, do we want to make an app? Because you can use AppSheet and you can make a functional app, and it does quite a good job, and you can get quite a bit of utility out of it. Then Andrew was going through all the facets of the company and where he wants it to go, and I'm like, you know what? This can't change fast enough. And that's really what I've found with, so there's Salesforce out there. There's several large scale. NetSuite's another one. I would say like 60% of the companies that I know that are very large, including State Farm, use some version of Salesforce. But they're massive, massive programs.
Allstate has their own.
For what? For managing leads and information of customers?
It's usually an adaptation of NetSuite or Salesforce.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have a website that does all that, and we would be completely lost if we didn't have that.
Yep. Yeah. But those are build to suit programs. They're massive, and they take tens of thousands, and actually I think State Farm is a few $1 million like a month.
Oh, for sure.
It's insanity.
Oh yeah.
So on something as small as a small company, you can't do it.
Right.
And you don't even have enough clientele to give a potato, right?
You can't support it.
And so what's really cool is that Google Drive is kind of my go-to for small companies. And that's why I consult with small companies, because I understand it, because I've done it, so it's fine. But building the infrastructure of folders, subfolders, making sure that you have all of the things that you normally use. We use subcontractors. We have a folder within each client's folder for any sub that we've ever used, electrical or plumbing. So if that client calls me 2 years from now, hey, who is that electrician? I got a janky light or something. Yep. We just go back and call them up. And it's all there. But you have to make, it's from scratch, man. There's no like magic. I made it in a day. Mm-hmm. And then talking with Andrew and Kat as well. One of the as a sales rep, I sell a very specific way, and I like as easy as possible sales. If you get too complicated with pricing, people deer in the headlights. No matter how many people tell you, I want all the numbers. Give me all the numbers. Nobody wants all the numbers. Nobody. No. I don't know how many hours I've wasted. I'm sure Jordan, you've wasted a shitload of hours. Sorry, but like but
it's true.
Give me like 8 different versions, and you're like, I don't want to, and they're like, no, give me all of them, and then they don't sign, and you're like, how many hours did I just waste on one client? Mm-hmm. And it happens.
Right.
And I'm sure you've done your fair share as well. But it's like, all right, we have to streamline this.
I used to. I'm not going to lie.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking about when Jordan, we were talking about how, you have to keep the hustle.
Yep.
The older you get, and if you've had success, that does matter. I find it more and more difficult as I get older to keep the hustle. Sure. Honestly, I don't want anybody to feel like I'm not hustling for them, because I do care about my clients. I do want to be successful. I do want to keep moving forward. But there's times where, a customer call me, my truck runs rough. What do you think it is? Well, I can look at it Tuesday. Let's figure that out. Well, how much are plugs? It's different on every vehicle. Well, how about like a mass airflow sensor? I was reading online, and that could do it. Sir, ma'am, there's like 87 different things.
Yeah, you're sitting on WebMD.
I've been in your shop when you've had these conversations.
You're sitting on WebMD for vehicles.
But see, now, 20 years ago, how much are plugs? We all see this. Plugs are going to be, $16, and the labor is going to be $85. And mass airflow sensor, that's going to be $200 plus another $30 in labor. And I'm 12 questions into it. I know that they'd probably, maybe none of these things are what's wrong, and we might have struck on one of them, but none of this matters till we look at it. And now it's like, okay, you don't want to sit on the phone as long as it's going to take me to do this. I definitely don't want to do this until I would rather do one quote for what's wrong.
Well,
Let's look at it.
Decks and builds get out of hand.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, can
All
I
the
get one of
options.
each?
Two
Can
variables.
Can you quote out like each style deck, and then can
I
we
want
get
spindles. I want
well
metal spindles. I want.
Not only that, can I get each style deck, and then can I get 3 different sizes? Can we do a 14 by 14, a 14 by 18, and a 14 by 25? And then make sure that there's wood and composite. And I would like to see Trex and Moisture Shield. And I'm like doing the math, timesing it by like 10 and going, you have like 16 bids. That's not happening.
You need to be like Microsoft. Well, I'll give you your 7-day free trial. I'll give you 2 estimates. The other 14 are going to cost you $100 a piece. How about that?
Yeah.
You pay.
And we don't do that. And so
of course not. But
yeah.
but you want to. I mean, when people are,
we have to funnel. We have to start big every time. We have to start big and kind of funnel it down into, hey, all of the options we discussed. I just want to start with one to see if we're even a good fit for you in the ballpark. Because if we're not even talking in the ballpark, there's no point in me sending you 50 bids.
Right.
Because none of these are going to be far enough apart for you to go, oh, yeah, that's, of course, the one I should go to. We're talking here, not like here.
Right.
So
and that first time you give somebody a bid for $12,000 or $15,000 in their deck, and they're thinking it should be $2,500.
Yeah, no,
you just blow them out of the water.
More like nowadays, and with tariffs, your 10 by 10s can get with composite upward of the 20 to 25 realm, and everyone's crying, including us. We don't want to sell it for 25. That's ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing too. When people want to take it out on us, it's like you realize that when COVID happened and we couldn't get parts, and people started getting ruthless, and it's like, well, that alternator I bought for $100 yesterday and sold for $140, now I'm paying $250 for that same alternator.
Yep.
So I'm just going to sell you that alternator now for $290, and I just made the same $40 on it that I would have made if I sold it to you for $100. I didn't buy it for $240, now sell it to you for $400.
Yeah, no one's trying to gouge here.
Right. It's like I'm not making any more money. I am just.
If anything, you're probably losing more because the taxes or something's changed where you're getting gouged more.
Oh yeah,
probably,
that's where I was like,
how many years ago?
Kat and Andrew eat it first because we're like, hey, between last year and this year, when we bid out a lot of our decks, we're not changing price right now.
No.
We're holding because we played it smart as best we could. We ordered as much as we could in January, type of thing, before everything hit. It's like, we do the best we can, but we'd rather eat, a couple grand here and there than lose and PO 25 customers.
Right.
Like,
well, it's like when
my God.
You look back, Obama's in office, not that probably had anything to do with it. I'm just trying to give you a timeline of how long ago it was. But gas prices went to almost $4 a gallon.
Yep.
And George Bush was in office when it happened the first time. Well, all of a sudden, all our deliveries, now I got an $8 charge. I got a $12 charge for a delivery. Okay, I didn't raise my price because it's like, hopefully this is short-lived. So we ate it, and we ate it for almost a year. 9 months. Then all the gas prices come back down. We all of a sudden, a businessman got in office, and miraculously they have no control over gas prices, but somehow it got cut in half. Imagine that. But right. But here we are, right? And all of a sudden, my delivery fees aren't going away. So I'm calling people going, that went up when gas went up. Gas went down. I'm not paying anymore, right? Well, I'm like, when this went up, you called and you apologized to me over and over how this wasn't your fault. Gas went up. We have to make up the difference.
Yep. Gas
isn't there anymore. Gas is back to where it was literally 10 years ago.
And now it's a profit thing.
And so now it's a profit. Right. Now it shouldn't be there, right? Because instead of apologizing for putting it there, why don't we get rid of it now that it shouldn't be there? And most all of my guys do. Or my vendors. So now I'm talking to other guys and they're just like, yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit. We're still paying all this. And I'm like, you are, huh? And so then, of course, I'm telling them my story. And like, a couple of guys were like, no way. You're paying it just like us. You're just being dumb. I'm like, I'm not being dumb. I'm not lying to you. I'm not paying this anymore.
I'll get new vendors.
But I called them, right. But I called them and said this. And they're like, oh, my God. So point being, once the prices go up, they very seldom come back down.
Oh yeah. Well,
when that happens,
companies get used on their new margins.
Yeah, but we ate it for how long, thinking, okay, this is going to be temporary. If it's not temporary, you got to make adjustments. But I don't get to go back on that year or 6 months or 8 months that I was eating it. I don't get to go back and get that money back. I can't go back to those guys. Going, hey, we ate it for a while, but I guess it's not going away. Could you just give me an extra couple bucks?
Well, it
doesn't work like that.
In the scary world that I have a problem with, which is insurance. I mean, you guys have increased pricing, and this went for State Farm and everybody else, by the way. This is no one in particular, but it's like everybody's insurance went up. It's now hard to pay, not necessarily difficult to pay insurance depending on which economic class you're in, but for the most part it has gone up across the board, and some people are struggling to pay insurance
35-40%.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And
that's a lot.
You're underinsured for your house.
Correct.
Housing across the board, and again, it's no one in particular. You are underinsured for your house.
Majority, I think it was when I looked at the stat, it's like 70% of homes are underinsured in the United States.
Yep, including my own.
Yeah.
And if I have to rebuild my house, I'm spending nearly $550,000, and my house is worth like $3.
Yeah.
And there's nothing anyone can do about that.
Because
That's
if you were
going
to write it for that price, it's going to go up $1,000 a year.
Yep. And State Farm's policy, bless their hearts, is replacement cost, and it doesn't matter if there was an increase, which is why you see the increase of all the pricing for all the insurance. So everyone's getting, paying more, and some of those policies, State Farm, again, good for them, and I think Allstate's the same. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but anything that's replacement cost, they will eat that like $200K difference. If it's a rebuild, they'll eat it.
And
And
it's just, what are the chances in this area of the chances are really low that you're going to have a total loss on your home. So
I'm just saying you're woefully
you almost have to have a
underinsured.
fire or a tornado.
Yep.
That's why companies don't, and this will get on to one little rant that I have at the end here.
Sure.
That there's a lot of times where I love in educating people. Like, that's why we're in a lot of, like, what we also love about sales is the education part.
Right.
And there's so many people that don't understand, like, the economic part of like our jobs, or like the impact of it, or like what it means on a grand macro level, right? And being able to like explain that I understand that you didn't have a loss, you didn't have this, or your in financial situation didn't change, but the industry as a whole across the country experience this, or states are no longer companies are no longer profitable in these states. And then you explain to them why is it, well, what do you mean by insurance companies being profitable? It's like, why would they continue to write in a state where you pay $1,500 a year, and then there is a high chance that your home's going to burn to the ground? Why? Like, how is that profitable? You paying $1,500 and then paying $500,000?
It's not government subsidied. It's a business.
And that's where I got, I explain it, and then customers are finally like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Or
but even when you educate them on what they need to know, they still don't want to hear it.
Oh yeah, no. Well, and I'm sure you get this one call. I got this call like 50 times a year. It had to be. But the older gentleman, and no offense to the older gentleman, but hey now. So they would call in and go, I haven't had a single accident. I'm 55. Why the F am I paying $800 a year for my car insurance when I haven't no accident, no great credit score? And they'll bring up credit score like it matters. And you're like, sir, there's nothing I can do. There's literally nothing I can do about this. You can switch insurance providers if you're truly unhappy with our service. You're hoping they're not, but outside of that, I'm going to choose Progressive. And you're like, best of luck.
That's why I don't dwell on that, because there's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is hustle, meet as many people as I can.
Go forward.
Help, because I'm going to be able to help
Pyramid.
80% of the people that I talk to.
Just go forward.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm going to help 80% of those people. Probably about 70% of those people are going to stay regardless, and their rates aren't going to get out of control, and they're not going to have claims. There's going to be people that aren't happy. We're all going to deal with that.
Yep.
So I don't dwell on them. I help them as much as I can, but then there's a point where I'm just like, okay, maybe I'm just, I've done everything I can do. It's out of my control, and I move on. But I just can't dwell on it, right?
And like between the three of us and any salesperson that's ever been in sales of any sort, if your price is higher, you are now relying on sheer volume to keep up with the sales. And you're probably going to make more at the end of the day.
Correct.
But you no longer can pull 20 appointments and close 5. You have to pull 100 and close 7.
Yeah.
And then you're doing 100 closing 7, but you made more. You're making more. So that's my take on it. It just ends up being a volume situation.
And I used to dwell on that. I used to really get eaten up and beaten up about rejection and objections.
What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
It must have been me. My personality. My first personality text. Like, somebody had texted my manager, hey, he came on strong for just a personality type. That person was the very calm and reserved person and very analytical. And and I'm me.
Engineer.
You're exuberant.
I'm exuberant. And so, I came at him with, hey, here's all the options. This is what we're doing. What do you think? Everything looks good. Fantastic. And they text my manager. Hey, he comes on really strong. Yeah. I'm like, I was crying.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
I know. I'm sorry. Sales has made me a little bit of a colder-hearted person, and it's
callus on your nose looks great.
Yeah, it's just because I don't take things to heart anymore, because there's things that there's a lot of things I can't control.
Right, yeah.
I can really just control how I treat people, make sure I'm doing things right and properly, and just hustle, and don't be lazy. If I'm doing all those things at the end of the day, I can't let it get to me. So that's what salespeople need to learn.
That's one thing where, like, Facebook and Google reviews, most reasonable people, they know there's going to be a bad one in there somewhere, and you got to take out the best one and the worst one, in my opinion.
Yeah, and average out the rest. Yeah.
Yeah, but you look at companies, and it is a good look. I mean, I look at our gun shop. We've been around since 2017. I don't remember how many reviews we've got, quite a few, but we're still holding a 5-star review, 5-star flat. Broadway Car Care has been around just over 21 years. We've got 150 some plus reviews. We're at a 4.9.
Yep.
And there's a reason why your businesses are at that, because I've been to both and they're phenomenal. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
That means a lot. But we put a lot of effort into it, just like you guys do. You don't want to be the bad guy. And when I don't get along with someone, very seldom do I have to go this route. But I've had a few people where I'm like, you have friends, right? And you take them a little off guard, because you say it politely when you're not getting along, when things aren't going well. It's like, you have friends, right? And they're like, of course. I'm like, so do I. So I mean, my point is, we're good people, okay? For whatever reason, you and I we're not meshing like we should. Yeah, it's just not working. But you've got friends, people like you. I've got friends, people like me. If you and I can't get along, I guess the question I have for you is, how many auto shops did you drive by to get here today?
I've done this exact same thing.
Yep. And don't be a dick about it. I mean, truly, I'm being
But you call a spade a spade. It's like there are other options for you.
Yeah, and I said, because if you're not happy being here, I'm not enjoying myself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So try someone else. I said, I want to end this today. You and I are going to be done as client and auto shop. We're going to be done for a bit. But I don't want this to end badly. I don't want to kick you out. I don't want you to storm out and slam the door. I just want you to know, try someone else. Because what's going to happen is you're going to find someone that you like way better than me. You mesh, and life's good. Their pricing is great. Awesome. And now you're happy. I'm not dealing with you being upset. You're not dealing with me upsetting you. Life's great for both of us. Okay? Mm-hmm. You go to someone, you don't feel like they did you right. So how many other shops did you drive by to get to them? Same principle. You try it. I said, 6 months or a year from now, when you've burned through 2 or 3 or 4 people and you just don't feel like it was awesome, maybe I'm not such a bad guy. Maybe you want to come back. And I want to make sure that today we end this so that you feel like you can come back and we can revisit this situation and maybe be friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I've had one guy who did not take that well at all, probably about 10 years ago, 9 years ago. But I've said it probably 6 times in 20 years, 6 different clients. And, I'm going to say there's probably 1 or 2 of those that didn't come back. But most of them came back.
Yep.
And I had one guy who slammed the door on his way out anyway. But,
oh man,
but that's not
those
the norm.
customer conversations though. Those tough
it's a tough
ones
conversation.
Are really tough. And I've had an expectation problem before. No. Have you ever set expectations incorrectly where you didn't have to double back, but you just had to reassert? It's a reassertion. So this went horribly wrong. I reasserted, hey, I'm just giving you a call. Anna, I think, or whatever it was. And I think we got off on the wrong foot for just how this started. And I didn't do my due diligence with setting expectations properly. She cut me off so fast. She's like, I'm setting expectations, not you. And I went, all right, maybe we're not the best fit. So let's get through the project. And I apologize for the inconvenience of the miscommunication, and we'll move on. But it was like, I came into that conversation so confident in my head that I was like, this is going to go great.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm being the bigger person and saying I'm sorry and let's redo this, and blew up in my face. Yep.
Well, doesn't it? It didn't. It sounded
Sounded
pretty
great.
good,
I
right?
would have been.
Like,
You didn't even do me wrong, and I want to give you another chance.
I know.
Yeah, right.
I know. So I came in because I've been through this and I've dealt with that and I've done the same phrasing and it's worked before. And so when you do that with the expectation of like it's gonna work just fine, and hey, it might be a little bumpy, but the double down blow up, and you're like,
all right,
my bad.
Yeah, you just kind of looking
My
at your shoulder
bad.
like, did anybody else see that coming?
Yeah.
I thought I was on top
bad.
of this. Well, okay, but and with experience, again, this has nothing to do with intelligence. This is all about experience. You recognize that customer when you give them a, well, I'm not going to hold you to it, but can you give me a ballpark? And I'm like, it's probably somewhere between $150 and $200. Okay, so I could get this done for $150.
no,
Every time.
Right.
Every
it's
time.
like, sir, that's not what I said. Or, hey, when, I got to order parts, it takes 3 to 5 days and it's on Friday.
Yeah.
Now most of us understand, right?
Business days.
Business days, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I got to order this, it'll take 3 to 5 days. Okay, so I can bring it in on Wednesday, or, I can bring it in on Tuesday then or something. It's like
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, I should have it Thursday or Friday. I had to order it. I'd just as soon have it in my hand before I call you, because we can, if it's a dire emergency, that's one thing. It's like, just leave the car. If you can't drive it, whatever. But if it's an inconsequential, like this differential, it can be driven, right? So I told him, he's like, okay, so I should bring this in. You got to, I called him today, told him, okay, so what should I bring it in Monday, Tuesday? No, I will call you when and he's a super nice guy, so he's not a difficult customer, but it was just that expectation. He's like, so should I drop it off Monday, drop back off Monday? No, I want to see this. I want to know that it looks like it really only has 84,000 miles. You take a $2 can of degreaser and a garden hose, I can make any part on your car look like it has no miles on it, right? So it's like, when you have to start searching for things, I don't get to buy from my vendors that I like and I know and I trust. I'm just buying it from somebody who put a post online that their salvage yard had this part. Like I said, it's a matter of a little brake clean or engine degreaser and a garden hose. That thing's going to look like brand new. And then they ship it off, and they can, a junk differential is still worth $100, and a great one is worth $600-700. Well, again, I'm a $2 can of degreaser and a garden hose away from a $500 increase on price. Yeah, this thing's got 84,000 miles on it. I'm not going to know any different until I pull it apart and take a look inside and see how much metal is in there, see how much metal's on the magnet, whatever.
But oh man, you miss those expectation sets at the appropriate times, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
That's where all the anger, all the frustration.
Yep.
If you let somebody know that, hey, it's going to take me about 6 weeks to fix your car, and if it took 4, great. And if it took 6, they're still like, oh, at least you told me. If it takes 8, even though you're like, hey, it could be 6 weeks or more.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just mad.
Yeah, and cars, you try to turn stuff around same day.
Yeah.
Obviously it's your car.
Oh, they're mad.
Yeah, and it's like, so, but that's it. I make this comment quite often. We're talking about customer satisfaction. It's like, I don't get yelled at Broadway. I just don't. But the reason I don't get yelled at Broadway is because I don't set unrealistic expectations. I don't jack the price in the middle of the job without telling anybody. It's a car. It's a house. If we run into a problem in the middle, I call you and say, we had an issue. This didn't want to come apart. When we actually got it apart, we found more wrong. Mm-hmm. Here's the new price, and you have to change your estimate. That's not my fault. And I tell them, if I could have seen this, if I could have told you about this, I absolutely would have. I didn't. We're not trying to sneak this in on the 11th hour, but when a customer walks in the door, and nobody likes that phone call in the middle of the job, but they're not furious. They're not screaming. They get it. If you explain it well and the communication lines are open.
Disappointed but accepting.
Right. Disappointed but accepting.
I hate that.
Now,
it's so awful.
But now you run into that. You run into that problem in the middle of the job, and you don't call anybody, because here's the difference between sales mentality and like the worker bee, like we talked about, right? The guy turning wrenches. The guy turning wrenches like, well, the effing thing's broke. I got to fix it.
Yeah.
And he knows you can't take it apart and put it back together. You can't fix one part and leave the other part broken and put it back together. You got to fix it. You and I don't think that way. We know we can't put it back together broken, but I can't just have the customer walk in. When I quoted him $600, he comes in, it's $950. And he's like, I thought you said $600. Oh, I did. But we ran into this. Yeah. It had to be fixed.
Some people are okay. See, it comes back to the industry standard thing.
Yep.
I don't know how... And maybe I'm just getting the nice side of the client and the fond memory rosy glasses. But I will get we built this house. Really nothing turned out right. So I'm a little, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that. You're doing that. It is what it is. then I'll make a smaller minor mistake, and they'll just lose their bananas. And I'm like, I hope you lost it on whoever built this house.
Yeah.
Not just on me, because this is egregious. And what I did is like,
yeah,
a technicality.
I'll run into that too. It's like you'll have somebody that'll call us chirping about a $10 a month increase about their auto insurance, but then I'll call people and get them quoted and save them $2,000 a year on their insurances, and they'll be like, known this guy forever though, I'm gonna stick with him. I think. And it's like, I wish my customers were that loyal. Jeepers. Like you get a $10 increase and I'm out, but I can't pull away these people when I'm saving them a vacation that they can go on. Like, nah, this guy, he's been my guy for a while.
Swell.
He's been gouging me for $2,000 a year more than the industry market value, but hey, I'm gonna stick with
You
him.
ever get the Tiffins? You have any Tiffins that come in, the giant RVs that are like $500,000 RVs, and then they're shit about the $10 increase. You have a $500,000
another prime example. Just went around this, talking about that. So this last week, I had a customer who, we have a new guy in our office. So he comes in, and I'm on the phone doing something, and he walks in, and he's talking to our new guy, and he's like, why is my bill so high? And he's looking at it, and my new guy didn't really know exactly how to tackle that conversation. So I get done with
mine. Cool shit. That's why your bill's so high.
Yeah. Right. No, and he didn't. He definitely did. That's the thing. And so I kind of recognized this guy, and I kind of but I see so many people. I'm just like, I don't know. But I'm just like, then he starts to get like lippy with my new guy, and he's like, well, why is it so high? Like, I've done nothing. Why? And I'd say, hey, Nate, just send him over. So he sends him over to my office. He sits down. I look up his profile. He has like 3 at-fault claims that we've paid out in the last year. And the last one he did was totaled his vehicle, and we had like $25,000 that we paid out to another party that he rear-ended. And I go, so the reason for your $50 a month increase is due to probably this $36,000 claim that we just recently paid out. Does that make sense? He's like, what do you mean? $30,000 is not a lot of money. I go, oh, really? And that's when I saw red, I'm like, $30,000 is not a lot of money. I'm like, I deal with a lot of claims in a year, and most of my claims are like $2,000 to $5,000. We get like 2 or 3 a year where they're like catastrophic like this. I would consider $35,000 pretty. It's getting up there. And I'm like, and you understand? Let's do the math here. And I literally pulled out my phone, and I'm just like, here's your bill for the next 3 years, which is what the surcharge will be on. This is how much you're gonna pay. $8,000. Is that different than 35? He goes, yeah, that is different. I'm like, you're paying $8,000 and we're paying you $35 to cover your butt during a claim. Does that make sense?
Your fault.
And he goes, yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, it'd be hard for me if somebody said $30,000 wasn't a lot. It's like, well, I'm glad you see it that way, because I got to be honest. I thought you were being way unreasonable about a $50 increase. That's pennies.
What I wanted to say, that's what pennies. I wanted to be like, I wanted to go like, okay, well, if that's the case, we're going to give you the $8,000 back. You give us the 35 we just paid you guys. Cool? It's not a lot of money.
I think that's a good trade.
Yeah.
And we'll wipe the claim. Mm-hmm. Honestly, that would be that'd be a phenomenal sales tech. No one would use it maybe in State Farm.
Well, you could use it once.
Like once per year. If you want to pay out the claim, I guess you could just not put it through. No, you have to put it through insurance. But if you want to pay it out, we'll take the claim off your claim. That'd be cool.
You want to reimburse us for what we paid out?
Like a little reimbursement policy.
That $45,000 we paid to replace your roof, you want to pay us back, and we will take that surcharge off? Okay. Let's do it. Lock it in.
We used to do a pizza party for the employees.
Yeah. Insurance companies, I will take the spiff. I will take the spiff off of that idea. Somebody reimburse.
My point being, though, is like, it's sometimes... like you said, you got to have your expectations a certain level, but there comes a point where common sense just kind of takes over, and I have to at least just kind of, because I don't want you to be delusional, because if you're delusional, then it's like, then you're always going to think I'm wrong. I kind of got to set it straight a little bit when you're completely delusional.
Is this a medical issue?
It's how far do I take it?
Yeah, I know. There's a fine line, and most of the time, I'm going to let you walk out of my office thinking you're completely right, 100%. Yeah. But there are some times where you're completely delusional, and then you're taking it out on my new guy, and then you want to tell me that money is no object, and you're complaining about a $10 a month increase? Yeah. That is delusion, and I have to address it.
Yeah,
we get similar to that too. Like you get these guys that'll roll in a high-end car, and the strut's rusted and it's broken because it's a 10-year-old car, but it was an $80,000 car when it started. Well, the car has depreciated, right? It's not an $80,000 car anymore. The parts that go in it, they're brand new that I'm going to buy and put in it tomorrow or today. Yep. Those are brand new parts. they have appreciated. The inflation has taken its toll. They haven't gone down. So when you're still putting struts in an $80,000 car, granted it's 10 years old, it's rusty, whatever, the thing's worth $12,000 now. Well, when you come in and the ass end is on the ground, and I tell you it's going to cost you $3,000 to put rear air struts in this thing, and these people will lose their mind. No. Now, not everybody, so most people get it, but you get that
every now and again, right? Just zero concept, And
there's like, it's an old car. I barely paid that for the car. It's like, I understand that. That's why when people come to me because they're going to buy their kid a car, or they're buying something inexpensive, and they bring me a Lexus, a BMW, a Caddy, a Lincoln.
Who does that sound like?
You and I went through this when you were younger, but you were younger. You didn't know. And
butterfly doors.
And you're like, why is my insurance policy so
butterfly
much?
doors, dude.
Oh, that's
that was
awesome.
my first car I bought on my
sick.
own, and I brought it to him, and he was like, my gosh, what did you get yourself into?
Oh, no.
Oh, it was like they chucked everything essential off that was like good for the car and put it with all the custom stuff that made it terrible. And we're like, this is custom.
This is good.
And he's like, oh my gosh. But of course, Lexus.
Yeah. It was a cool car.
Oh, I looked sick, but the wintertime, it would die every time it went below 30 degrees because the battery was all messed up in the wiring and everything.
Yeah.
Cracked radiator, all the above.
But but I tell this, and I always tell everybody, it's like I even did my presentation at SBR about this. I call it the economics of a used car. I said if you can't afford, and I said this is a harsh statement, but if you can't afford to buy that car brand new, you can't afford to fix it used.
Whoa.
Bottom line.
Whoa.
Bottom line.
That's going to be a real.
Yeah,
that's going to be real.
And it's real. I mean, it's like, because the repairs on these things will, and a lot of times cost more than what you paid for these things when they get to be 15 years old, But I got a BMW, but I got my Caddy, I got my whatever. It's like, I get it, but could you afford to buy that Caddy new? Oh, there's no way I could buy that new. Okay.
I don't know how the car industry is gonna look in the next 15, 20 years. The tech on some of these vehicles is insanity. Yeah. I mean, heck, even the truck that I have, and it has the air suspension and whatever, if that air suspension dies, it's like $6,000. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's
what's going to change. In my opinion, what's going to change in the car market? The cars are always changing. Obviously, like you said, the technology in there is ridiculous. What's going to change is the banking side of buying cars. The financing is what's going to change.
30-year mortgage, got it.
It is. They're going to have to get into. It's going to get more creative. Is what's going to happen.
Well, that's why
7-year mortgages or 7-year car payments now. That's
unreal.
Ridiculous.
Unreal. 7-year and then you see the people that are offering predatory loans where they can pay
a little 20-year, a little 30-year.
Well, they can pay. They'll get a loan for $500 to pay for the titling and the registration and all that stuff, and they'll pay like a closing cost of a vehicle because they don't have any money,
right?
And they'll pay a loan that's 100% interest. They'll get them into that, and and so they pay $500 is the loan, but they'll end up paying $3,000, $4,000 back when they pay it off.
It's like a revolving account. It's like renting a couch for $80 a week that costs $1,000. You're going to rent it for 40 weeks, and then you get to pay $500 to buy it out at the end.
Yep.
Well, and then don't even get us started on the student loans. It's like I have she's 62, and she has $40,000 left, and I was like, how the much did you start with? She's like 53, and I was like, so you in 40 years. Or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah, the government loves you.
Are you serious? You're funding America at this rate. Jesus.
Well, and that's why people also wonder why all these vehicles are getting totaled out in insurance claims. Like if you hit a deer and it just damages your hood, you're good. You're probably going to retain the vehicle. We can fix it, whatever. And this was especially true during COVID and 2 years ago. You hit a deer and it cracks your radiator. They're sending you a check for a total loss in 24 hours.
Right.
And it's crazy.
$7,000.
Yeah, anything mechanical, anything mechanical on a vehicle from a claim, they would rather just pay the total loss because it's cheaper in the end.
Okay, so let's talk about insurance, totaling cars, and mishaps that happen at work. All the 3 topics we've covered today. This was probably 6 months ago. I had a body shop that we work with again. They had one come in. They looked at it. It had broken a brake. It wasn't unsafe to. It had bent a strut, and then it tore a brake line. So you couldn't drive it. It wasn't safe to drive, but that's all it needed mechanically. The bodywork side of it wasn't going to affect it. So, and they were 9 weeks out, But he said, if you get the mechanics fixed on it, we'll get the strut in, get the brakes done, get all that so it's safe to drive. Then we'll get them back in 9 weeks and fix it. It's like, okay, and just bill us. We'll take care of it. So of course, we've been working with them forever. So we do the work, we bill it to them, and at the end of the month, they paid us. We're working with him, 2-3 months later, whatever, and he's like, yeah, that Impala, we really took it in the shorts on that. I'm like, why? What? I mean, because they'd already paid me, of course, because they paid me before they ever got it back.
Was it expensive repair?
Well, it was.
Yeah.
On my end, it wasn't terrible. I mean, my end, it was struts or strut. And
that's what I mean for your end. How much was it expensive for you?
About $1,500. It was a $1,500 repair. So not
great, but not terrible.
But where it comes into a problem is, of course, and easily to cover that on insurance because it happened from the accident.
They totaled it, didn't they?
When they get it back, they start taking it apart, and frames tweaked on it. They totaled it.
Oh,
So now we've got $1,500 bill from 9 weeks ago. They get it back, and they didn't see the frame. They didn't know the frame was damaged. It didn't look like it. Now they actually get it apart, and
so they paid $1,500 for nothing.
So they paid me $1,500. The insurance company was like, pack sand, of course, because they just totaled out the car. So then they're trying to work it out with the customer, going, we're just basically asking him, are you willing to give us $1,500 out of your claim to pay that so you could drive it for 9 weeks? And they're like, well, you told me I could have my insurance would have covered a rental.
Yeah.
So it's like, you should have done a rental. So they were trying to do him. He didn't want a rental. To be fair, the customer was not unreasonable, but he was like, well, I'd rather drive my car. It's got to get fixed anyway, right? How long's going to take you to get
9 weeks though is pretty crazy for body work.
Yeah, they were out
during COVID. That's what was happening.
Right.
But now, as of like 23 and on,
Right.
even end of 22, 9 weeks is unreal.
Right.
Yeah, heck,
It was
I just
out
had
there
one that was 2 weeks and they got it in, and then it was 1 week and they got it done.
We're looking at like 2 week turnarounds with some of the collision. But I mean, if they're a smaller shop and they're really busy, I mean, 9 weeks.
This was over winter. He had pile driven into he missed a roundabout, and he just drove right into it, and the front end got banged up on the curb, and it just and of course, and it's an Impala, so it's it's made out of plastic and saran wrap, so it just it didn't take it well.
What year was it?
19.
19?
17, 19,
gotcha.
something like that. It was late teens. But it had almost 100,000 miles on it, so it didn't have a tremendous amount of value left.
No.
It's 19 sounds new, but we're in 25. That's
it is crazy,
that's a
right?
6-7 year old car. Depending.
That is a
on
lot of miles though for 6 years though. $100,000, 100.
Not really.
No,
not really. You figure most people they figure between 12 and 15,000 is average. 15,000 on 6 years is 90.
Like 8 a year.
Yeah, no, because I drive like 40 a year, and then most people drive like
40 a year. Oh my
gosh, buddy.
See, I lease and I go like 8 to 9. Yeah. Even with all my officiating and everything.
No, I usually
40 a year.
Usually between 30 and 40 on sales.
About 12.
And that's great. I mean, that's a pretty low. That's a pretty low amount. If you like 40,000 miles.
I mean, I'm driving every day.
That is wild. That is wild.
I am either driving or at an appointment. Pick one.
Jeepers, 40.
So honestly, one of my big struggles at the moment is like, what do I do with so much time in the car? I mean, like all I can do is listen to
podcasts.
It'd be awesome if there's a podcast to listen to.
Well, I've listened to podcasts. I've listened to
Jesus,
books.
Guys, we're at 2 hours and 21 minutes. We're giving plenty of content. You got plenty on this one.
You're right. I should rewatch this.
Yeah, we should rewrap.
Okay, we're gonna have you back though. I'm super pumped because I have a lot of
sure.
other stuff I wanted to ask you about. But
we got things.
That's fine. So,
but.
Will you come back?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Awesome. Jordan, will you co-host him again?
Oh, absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
We'll
This exuberant character over here, I wouldn't miss it.
Yes. Wait, I need to. You got to not that word, but teach me something in Chinese before we go.
And let me preface it.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't get us canceled, please.
Yes. Don't get us canceled.
Yep. Something else.
Okay. Yes. Not that one.
You can say
not that one.
Not that one.
Don't use that. Yeah.
All right. So we got Zaijian. How do you want to pronounce that?
Zaijin.
Jian.
Zaijian.
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 What is that?
Zaijian. Down and then down.
Zaijian.
Zaijian. Not Zai.
Zaijian.
Oh,
so you have 4 tones.
Jian.
One's going up, one's neutral, one's going down, and one has nothing. So you have Zai, which is like harsh, and then harsh again. So you have Zai, Jian.
Zai, Jian.
Yeah.
I don't often see Jerry confused.
Wow.
And that face is interesting.
Yeah. So you just say
well, it's
together
just my poor life choices.
So what does that mean?
Asking us a question.
Oh. Zaijian.
Zaijian.
Zai, Jian.
Zaijian.
All right. Guys, Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I won't ask again.
Yeah.
We won't do
You
this
tried
next
your
time.
best.
I tried
You did
my
your
best.
best.
Yeah, that's when we had our German exchange student. Her name was Frauke, and she would correct me if she was sitting here because she'd be like, and she would say it, and I'm like, "That's what I said." She goes, "It's not
No,
what you said."
you almost
I'm
had
like,
it.
No, that's what I said. She's like, no. So we'd literally take 10 minutes of just Frauke, and then she'd go Frauke. I'm like, that's what I said. No. So we just went back and forth, back and forth.
Yep.
She'd shake her head every time. She'd shake her head. But no.
If
no.
you're not musical or you don't have tone in your head,
Yeah.
Chinese is very difficult. And
It sounds like it because I'm thinking, just give me a word, man. I don't need a definition.
I don't need
yeah, I don't
phonics.
Well,
need-
yeah,
it's like-
the tones are really tough, and so a lot of people botch Chinese because they don't do tones, or they have a monotone personality, so they just say Zaijian, and you're like, that's not it at all.
doesn't sound the same.
Zaijian.
It really doesn't.
No.
So
say
All
that
right.
to the camera again.
goodbye.
Nailed it.
I nailed it.
Well,
Guys, thanks for coming out. Thanks for helping
Absolutely
tonight,
appreciate it.
hosting, and we'll see you again next time. Everybody, have a great night.